All right, people, we're
Yo.
back. We got another watch along going on. I got the microphone in my hands this time because it's easier and I don't feel, and it makes it just easier for me to move around. I can't think. I've got a million different things going on in my mind right now. I'm trying to control 15 different things. But Chris, what's going on, dude? How you doing?
Not much, man. I mean, I'm just excited to be here. We would be lying if we said that we didn't overcome a lot of adversity.
Yeah, seriously.
Tonight. So
I don't know what it was, but people, tonight was just one of those nights. This was the Henry's Law of nights, where just everything that was determined to go wrong went wrong, but we still overcame it because that's what we do. That's Chris. I'm Dom, TV nerd, movie nerd, talking TV. You guys know what it is. He actually once again came in spirit because he knows what's going on, and I just wore my Marvel t-shirt because this is the only theme shirts that I have are Marvel shirts. But it's my form-fitting Captain America shirt, so I'm not too pissed off about it. If anything, this is like subtle brand marketing right here. It's like, hey, go watch our other Marvel stuff that we've got going on. So, but Chris, we've got another fun watch-along planned for tonight. Yeah. You know, our first two Star Wars ones went so well, so we figured, hey, we're in June now. Summer's going on. Is COVID over? Nobody really knows, but hey, we're still going to just keep having fun. And so, Chris, well, clue people in. So both this week and next week, we've got a couple of anniversary watch-alongs going on because, man, 2020 is a momentous occasion, to say the least, for many different reasons. But, Chris, so what are we watching tonight?
Yeah, so tonight, you know, it's funny because I actually really love this film. And
me too.
I feel like people on the in circle especially would think like, oh, Chris picked another watch-along for the group, right? Because I kind of like pick the movies for Star Wars month, but you kind of picked this one, and I was like, no, you did, you know what I mean? And you, and you were just like, we should do Jurassic World, and I was like, I can't deny that because this movie I think gets a very bad rep.
I agree. Well, so before we actually get into the actual movie itself, it's funny because I just want to once again, because I love doing this. You know me, I love pulling back the veil. I'm like Toto for the Wizard of Oz. I love pulling back that curtain and revealing all the inner workings of what goes on. Which is that what really happened was that people might like to think that it was like a mystical, like magical coming of things together, and it was kind of that. But what happened was is that Chris was like, "Hey, those Star Wars watch-alongs went really well. Can you think of any others?" I'm like, "Well, it's June. I vaguely remember that Jurassic World came out like in like the first or second weekend of June when I graduated high school. So like maybe we could do that." I'm like, it has to have been 5 years. And I looked at the calendar. I'm like, well, what do you know? The second weekend of June just happens to be the 5-year anniversary for Jurassic World. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I mean, why would we not do that?
Yeah, it was one of those stars aligning moments, like from Hercules, when like the stars aligned, the Titans came out of the earth. But here, the stars aligned for us to watch Jurassic World for its 5-year anniversary.
And you know, I know it's only been like 2 weeks, if that, but it feels like such a damn long time.
Oh my god, it feels like it's been a year.
Yeah,
it literally feels like it's been a year since we did Rogue One. Yeah. And has it been 2 weeks or 3? I lost track.
I think it's been 3, but it still feels like way too
I don't
long.
know. But the point being, that's just look. All I know is that there is only 3 units of time right now. There are no longer days of the week. There are only 3 units of time going on right now. There's yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and that's it. Those are the only units of time going on right now.
I know, man. And so before we jump into our Jurassic World watch along and introduce our guests, I just want to shout out some of our, our friends, our fellow supporters in the chat, if that's okay with you, Dom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We got Robert Makes the Cut, who was here before we even started. Robert, thank you, man. You've been here a lot lately. We appreciate it. Elliot popped in. Elliot, man, thank you for coming and hanging out. That means a lot, man. We appreciate it. We love working with Elliot. He'll be on something we'll get to in a minute here next week, so you'll see Elliot on our channel again. But Elliot, thanks for being here. And, of course, Sir Tone at the movies, who's been hanging around a lot lately, dude. Stoked to hang with you. We always get some good takes from you, my friend, so excited to get this going. And before we introduce our guest, Dom, we have something else going next weekend. Speaking of Elliot, speaking of people who are coming to watch us and hang out with us, and this is another one that you picked, and I couldn't deny it because
absolutely, because it was again, it's just like the stars aligning moment. Because again, when I was looking through the anniversaries, I was like, okay, June is a big anniversary month. You know, a lot of big movies that are hitting their anniversaries, and I knew that Jurassic World was hitting 5 years, but I was looking after, and again, lo and behold, just one of those stars aligning moments. I checked the weekend after that, and the weekend after, so next weekend, we will be doing our watch along for Toy Story 3's 10-year anniversary. That's right, people. Next weekend, Friday the 19th, I want to say, whatever day the 19th is, I don't remember if it's Friday or Saturday, Toy Story 3 will officially be turning 10 years old, which is insane. Because I remember when that movie first came out, I was like, how has it been like 11 years since the last one? You know, and now, look at where we are now. It's crazy. Crazy how time flies.
It honestly is crazy how time flies. And, speaking of time flying, we've already been live for 5 minutes. And
Yeah, we have. And we got to introduce our guest because we're not here alone, people. We got some guests here. So, Chris, introduce them. Tell me which guy to click in first.
Yeah, you know him. We love him. Please welcome yet again, Flix Talk, David, to our channel.
David, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, glad to end my week. The last couple of weeks, how you mentioned, were crazy. I think it was 3 weeks ago, but I've had overtime every weekend, so it just feels like a big blur to me, and it does feel like a year. It's crazy, but I need some downtime. I told my boss, he asked me to come in. I said, hell no, I'm doing this watch along with Talkin TV podcast. I have to get it done. So we're here, and I actually am really looking forward to this movie. I don't think I saw it since it hit theaters about 5 years ago. So I'm really excited to watch it again.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was like, I could have worked overtime, but screw it. I had to be on a podcast
Screw
with my friends and
I
watch
need
Jurassic World. Hell yeah. All right, who's next, Chris?
That is a true homie move, David. And someone who's been supporting a lot in the chat, but like Elliot just said, is about to make his debut here with the squad. Guys, we got Nick of Bearded Film Reviews finally in the flesh. Nick, thanks
for
being
here. What is up,
here,
everybody? Thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, you guys have been great. Love doing these watch-alongs. And like David, I actually haven't seen this since it came out in theaters. And like I do in my reviews tonight, I have got a vanilla Java porter for all you beer lovers out there.
Nice. Yeah. Why don't you tell people a little bit about what it is you do? You're kind of like the new kid in town, so let people know about your channel.
You're the new kid on the block right here.
Sweet, love it. So I just started out a couple months ago. Well, no, so I always went to the movies, told my friends about them. And I was like, Nick, you should do reviews. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I started doing them on Snapchat, just quick 60 seconds. And everybody seemed to like them, but I wanted to save them, so I said, screw it, I'm going to put them on Instagram. And I've kind of blown up a little bit. I never thought I'd have even 1,000 followers. This is crazy. So, yeah, thank you guys to everybody who's followed me and commented, and I love this community. It's great.
Dude, awesome. And we're happy to have you a part of it, man. Joe, what up, dude? Thanks for
dude.
Yes,
Joe. Guy. Isn't Dom with the handheld mic some kind of energy, huh, Joe?
Come on, it's great. I swear, I'm about to bring a whole new vibe to this thing.
That is some energy for sure.
The audience is ready for. I'm telling you, you were ready to see Dom unhinged, and I just want you guys to be ready for it.
So one of the last times we spoke to our next guest, we literally had to start a hashtag YOLO 2020 because the man is just so poignant, so on point in everything that he says. Please welcome our good friend YOLO.
Once again, rocking it with the background images right there. He was on point with Star Wars, and he's on point once again. What's up, YOLO?
How you guys doing? Yeah, my backdrop is going to be Jurassic Park because they didn't do any for Jurassic World, so that means something.
Yep. Yes, it does.
How you guys doing? 2 in the morning here, but I'm happy.
We're good, YOLO. Before we officially jump into it, why don't you? I mean, there are some new faces in here tonight. Why don't you promote yourself a little bit? Let people know what you do and where they can find you.
So yeah, we mainly on Instagram. When I say mainly, it's just on Instagram. But so mainly.
Best place to be.
So we started this about 2 years ago, and it was a way of just like connecting with me and my daughter, because we wanted to do something that we could do together because we're living in different countries. So we started doing this Instagram page, and then we started getting loads of cool people to talk with about movies, and it just went from there. We just started reviewing the movies we love, the movies we didn't like, and just sharing our opinion and starting conversations and communities. And that's been it. It's really nice to have people to talk about movies. And the people around me were sick and tired of hearing me out. So just had to search for new people on the internet. And you guys were lucky to get me.
I was about to say, if there's one thing I've learned about the internet, it's that there will always be a safe haven for people who cannot learn to shut up about movies, as I learned very quickly.
That is true. So, guys, we do have one more guest who's having a bit of technical difficulties, but that's okay, because whenever they get in here, they're going to join right in on the party. They're from the Great Down Under in Australia, the We Watch This Movie podcast. We're going to be speaking with Jackson hopefully sooner than later. But before we do that, just to give Jackson a little more time, and I think to set the stage a little bit before we sort of talk about Jurassic World. I know Dom and I kind of gave our thoughts about how we feel about this film before we rewatch it again, but why don't we go around the circle starting with David? Where are you at going into this film right now? What was your, how many times have you seen it, and what was your first impression with the film?
Oh, honestly, I mean, we all grew up on Jurassic Park, right? So I think that was the kind of the nostalgic going in. It was like a new take on everything. We saw, one of my favorite Chris's was attached to this movie, and I was like, okay, I want to see where they go with this. And it seemed almost like a rehash reboot of kind of what I had seen in the first Jurassic Park, just a new take on it. And what I like is when they bring these movies out to a newer audience. And I think they did it well from what I remember. In this movie Jurassic World, and I actually even saw the second one, and I enjoyed that one for what it was, even though I didn't like it as much as the first one. But I like I said, I only saw it once in theaters, and I'm happy to see it again here. I didn't get a chance to see it on Blu-ray or 4K or anything like that, so I'll be watching it fresh eyes again.
Awesome. All right, moving down. What is let's go to YOLO next. What is your what is your relationship, let's call it, with Jurassic World? Let's face it, we're all in a relationship with these franchises at this point.
Yeah, like I love the original. Like I still remember, it's one of those movies I remember going to the cinema, and I have like a big connection with it because I went when it came out, and I even went to an outdoor cinema, and then on that part of the T-Rex in the rain, it started raining in the real world. So it was one of the coolest things it was great special effects. But what I felt with this movie, I felt it was a bit like The Force Awakens. It was kind of like going through the same steps of the original movie, just like kind of trying in giving a new look for the new generation. And I think that's the problem. I think like movies today are completely different from what they were. They have to have big set pieces. They can't just be something more. It can't be as small as the first one was. And saying that now, it sounds like a joke, because the first one, when it came out, it was the biggest movie we ever saw. But now we have to have 50,000 dinosaurs running around. We can't just have one. It has it just has to add up and add up and add up. And that's my problem with it. I think it tries a bit too much. But so I don't see it. I didn't saw it for a while. I still think it's better than the second one. Way better than the second one. So it's not the worst one, but there's still some problems with it. But we'll talk as it goes.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Joe in the comment section real quick. Joe, unfortunately, I don't know if that goal is going to come true first. But, that's actually a really good point. And I'm really glad you brought up the Force Awakens comparison, because that was actually something that Chris and I talked about shortly before we got on this call. But real quick, because I don't want to cut him off, because, again, he is the new kid on the block. Nick, if you can go into it, what is your relationship with this franchise at this point before me and Chris get into it?
Yeah, I grew up watching the Jurassic Parks. I love them. And Jurassic World, I'd say, is probably my third favorite. And my first favorite is obviously the first one. Second one, I'm probably going to get crap for, but I love Jurassic Park 3. I really like it. I think it's so much fun. But
William H. Macy, man.
No, Jurassic Park 3.
Oh,
with the Spinosaurus Rex.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I
underrated
think it's
choice,
great.
dude. I love it.
It's my second favorite. Love it. With the talking raptor and everything.
Incredible.
That's one of my favorite dinosaurs. Yeah, is the pterodactyls. I think they're terrifying. And just like in this movie, they're terrifying in this too. But yeah, I'm so excited to rewatch this because, like David, I haven't seen this since the theaters. So
awesome, Dom. We have someone in the backstage area. If you want to introduce our last and final guest,
we do. Yeah. Yes, we do. Hold on, let me scroll down.
Also,
and we got the last person. Nice, right on time. All right, let's go. Right from live from down under. I don't know how to more cleverly phrase that. It is Marshall. I'm going to assume that's your real name because it's right in there. Marshall on film. What's going on, dude?
Sure, let's roll with it, Dom. What is going on? Well, I wasn't sure what was going to hit this podcast first. Was it going to be coronavirus? Was it going to be Tenet reopening in theaters?
But
sure enough, it was me. I made it just in time.
Just in time. Yeah, and apparently it wasn't Tenet because they just pushed Tenet because they're going to do Inception's 10-year anniversary in place of Tenet being released. But that's a whole different podcast right now. Yeah, that just happened.
Who's keen for that double feature?
Is it Marshall or is it Jackson? Let's clarify this right now.
You lot can call me whatever you want.
Ooh, cool. That just opened up for a whole bunch of different possibilities. Right now. But so you actually just got here just in time because we were just going around the live table and kind of discussing our individual relationships with this franchise. And it's so interesting because I don't necessarily want to call it like a franchise, but like there's 5 movies in it, so it is a franchise by default. But this is not like, again, it's like kind of like a Star Wars situation in that it was a franchise that was never supposed to be a franchise. But like Spielberg, unlike Lucas, went into this like with the intent of only ever doing one movie. So Jackson / Marshall on film. I'm just going to call you that some amalgamation of all 3. What is your relationship with the Jurassic Park franchise?
Okay. I've got a strong affinity towards the first movie. The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, like many in the audience, doesn't do a hell of a lot for me. I'm of kind of like a generation later. So this came out shortly before I was born, and I kind of grew up on movies like The Matrix and the kind of action and blockbusters we got after that. So I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to Jurassic Park. I don't have anything against the films, and I've never seen this film we're about to sit down and watch, Jurassic World. I know a couple things about it. I know it's a very slick, huge budget, made a ton of money. It sounds like a lot of you are fans of it, who've got some divisive opinions out there. I know it's got Chris Pratt at the height of Pratt mania after Parks and Rec and Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm keen to get stuck in. I don't really know what to expect.
Cool. That's gonna be
that's
gonna make
that's
this
an
a good
awesome take.
That's gonna have
man.
a great take.
Yeah.
All of these takes just made me super happy because I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait. So if we can just discuss mine and Chris's relationship with this whole thing before we actually dive in. I'll try to make this quick, even though if any of you know me, you'll know that I'm lying through my teeth. But so my relationship with this is that saw the first movie, loved it. First movie's a masterpiece. Second two, I was just kind of like, I didn't think they're not good movies, but I'm like, I watched them, they were fun, whatever. But my whole stance on it is I understand why, but like Jurassic Park was never a movie to me that like was situated to be a franchise. Unlike Star Wars, which felt like it was so open to so many different possibilities after the first installment. The first Jurassic Park movie very much felt like an open and shut case. But it was a situation where because it was like the biggest movie at the time, it kind of had to get sequels. And it's funny because with Jurassic World, I'm actually really glad that you brought up the Force Awakens comparison because ironically enough, since Trevorrow was originally supposed to do Episode 9, Trevorrow basically did what J.J. Abrams did with the Force Awakens before Force Awakens was even a thing, where they basically said, hey, people love the original, and it's been long enough. Let's just remake the first movie, but we'll slap a fresh coat of paint on it and just call it this new name, and we'll call it a reboot of the franchise, and everyone will go for it. And sure enough, it worked out, and it made like $1 billion. And some of that, I would say, works. Some of it doesn't, per se. But the one thing I'll say is that I admire how Trevorrow takes everything that worked about that original Spielberg movie, and I'm not going to say updates it, but kind of does his own spin, because rather than going for the straight traditional horror approach that Spielberg did that made that first movie so iconic, he goes for more of the typical, like, monster mash approach. And that's already, like, a very hit-or-miss approach as it is, but I know for me, at least, it worked. So, Chris, if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, I just want to say that, Jurassic Park is something that is very near and dear to my heart. Star Wars is certainly the franchise that inspired me to want to create and go on to get into music and get into television. But like Jurassic Park, the first movie, is kind of like the first big film that I remember being like very little and being like, I want to watch that again. I don't know why I want to watch that again, but I want to sit down and watch it literally like 5 times in a day. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years old, So the first film, Jurassic Park, is just imprinted in my brain, and it's just tied to some of my fondest memories. And I really thought they did this reboot, Jurassic World, a lot of justice. So I'm excited to rewatch it again. It has been some time since I've seen it, probably like 2.5 years. But I remember I watched it quite a bit. I've seen it almost like 5 times now. So I'm excited to like refresh my memory of it and jump in. And what a better way to do it than like live hanging out with all you guys in the panel and in the chat,
Yeah, seriously. Who needs real friends when you have internet friends? Am I right, people? I feel like that was like a nostalgia critic joke from like the interviews with like the guy who's playing, the girl who's playing Mike, and he's just like, "Am I right, boys?" And it's like, no.
But hey, Dom, before we dive in,
yeah,
and we will do that soon. Just because Marshall kind of missed, we want people to know Marshall's channel. Yeah, he missed the plug part in the beginning, but like tell people where they can find you and what it is you do on your podcast, Marshall, and anything you want them to know. Yeah.
Let's get this plug in right late. So at Marshall on Film on Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Twitter. You can check out my movie reviews, similar to Nick, although he's got a much better beard than I do and seems to be enjoying his beers. It's 11 a.m. here on Saturday, so sorry, Nick, but I've backed out of it. Maybe I'll pop a red wine just for you a little bit later. And I'm also a co-host on the We Watch This Movie podcast, where we sit down and dissect the latest and greatest in movies. We, at the moment, are looking at contemporary cinema, quite a lot of Netflix releases, as, hey, cinemas aren't quite open, and we're looking forward to releasing an episode on Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods, which I'll be watching a little while after finishing this. So,
yo, you too!
Very topical movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, honestly, if you want, like I said, not to like be that guy right now, but I would honestly love to be in on that because I'm really looking forward to this movie and how topical it's going to be. But,
well,
like
Dom,
I said,
I'm going to challenge you on your handheld mic energy throughout
yes,
this
bro,
watch.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
that
do
is
it, buddy.
true.
And whoever has it, let's do it like a mic tap right there. I don't know how that works, but yeah, close enough. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to get this show on the road.
Yeah, let's do it. Listen, you
All
guys
right.
in the chat, you know the deal. Chime in. Let us know what you're thinking throughout this as we're all watching it together. We'll highlight your comments. We'll listen to what you have to say. Just
I have to put my microphone down. So, Chris, I will let you gear it. We're at the 0-0 mark. And when you guys are ready, just click play.
All right, hit play, everyone. We are live. I'm excited, guys. This is going to be good. I have
Let's do it.
seen this in quite some time, but fond memories of the Jurassic World film, which got, I think, too much hate, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
we'll see after it finishes again, after I see it again, but
again, I think it was the monster elements and the fact that people didn't quite know what to make of this weird style that 2015 established between this and Force Awakens of basically just remaking the first movie and calling it a reboot. But I that doesn't mean that I still don't think that there aren't elements that this movie incorporates into the franchise.
Yeah, no, and I think you raised a good point when we were sort of talking earlier today in preparation for this, Dom. Like you said, the original Jurassic Park was a little more on the horror side, and this was a different taste because, it's very similar story beats in the script, and there's a lot of comparisons that I think, Marshall, if you're familiar with the first one at all, you'll clearly see, they kind of did a Force Awakens here, but I think what they did a little different was they added its own unique flavor. The monster aspect, less horror, more monster. And I liked it. I honestly really liked it. But,
I like the Godzilla movie, so that worked for me.
My problem is having pet raptors and trying to make raptors being I just think they try too much to make this something that everyone everywhere would like it. And
you got to sell toys, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's parts of it that it's oh, look, we also doing this, and we are also doing this. And look, we have a giant dinosaur coming out of a pool, and we have this, and we have that. And you just lose the magic of the first one. That was dinosaurs were incredible.
I don't know. You know I hate to do this, but I especially so early on, but I gotta say I'm kind of disagreeing with you only because it's to me the so much of why this movie worked in that aspect. Oh, really funny fake out right here with this dumb bird in the snow. But part of to me what made the majesty of this movie work at first so well is the fact that you actually get to see John Hammond's vision realized, and the whole thing is that kind of the way that I was able to excuse it in my mind is that John Hammond envisioned this as this big gusto amusement park that everybody could go to and everybody could have fun at, and it's if that involves a giant sea dinosaur coming out, and if that involves training raptors, I mean, it's not what I would have expected, but it works and it's cool, and it doesn't really get dumb until later on, but we'll hit that when we get to it.
Yeah,
is that Judy Greer?
Yes, that is Judy Greer.
This gets a point.
Judy Greer was in everything in 2015. She was in this. She was in Ant-Man. She was in Grandma. Judy Greer was in everything in 2015. Archer season, whatever season was an Archer of Archer.
Let's count here on the minutes until he gets dumb.
Yeah. That's gonna be over with real quick. That's a 29 seconds thing. Boom. That's
YOLO. I'm glad you said that because I wanted to get back to that. It does get dumb, but the thing is, it has such a charm to it, at least to me personally, that I can excuse that and just love it for what it is. But it does get dumb, and I'm not gonna lie and say I have my blinders on just because I'm wearing the shirt and I grew up with this thing. It does get dumb.
No, it was a movie that was easy to watch. I'm not I didn't came out of the theater and went, oh my God, I wish I had my money back. It was easy to watch, but I just felt what I feel with a lot of these remakes and a lot of these franchises is that no one can just tell a story. They always have to add something. They always have to do something bigger than the one before. It's like this, like if we like the Avengers, like everything else. But in the Avengers, the story kind of goes that way. But here it's always like we had the dinosaur in the first one, now you have to have 3, now you have to have 50, now you have to have, and it just loses kind of the magic. I think what was cool on the first one was that there was a dinosaur there somewhere, and you kind of didn't know where it was going to show up, and then you had the raptors. This, like, you just turn around and there's a dinosaur. It's like it just becomes something so like mundane that you just lose the magic of it. But it's still
less is more. Less is more.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because again, like I not to reiterate my point, but like that's kind of the point of this movie, and what I kind of like the subtle brilliance is that, and why I really like the first third of this movie is that it kind of shows it like, yeah, we do have an oversaturation of dinosaurs, and that's why kids who are are all social media addicts by this point, obviously not to be said that they are now, but still were in 2015, and our kid get distracted by a million other things. Seeing a dinosaur has kind of lost its marvel. So yeah, they do have to have like a ridiculous number of dinosaurs in order to overcompensate, and it's even why. To even kick off the tension of this movie, why they have to create a whole new dinosaur just to try and get people's attention, because it's like, yeah, dinosaurs are like the norm now.
Yeah, that
well,
part.
If it worked for James Cameron's Aliens, why shouldn't it work here, right? If we're going to stuff more creatures and more animals in, we might as well show them in plain view. But I guess we're going to see how this unfolds. I don't know what we're in for.
Yeah.
Oh definitely. Yeah, you never saw this, but this is nothing like Aliens. We have more aliens, but you don't see them in the shopping mall. You don't see them.
Yeah,
like, there's more of them.
Like, as much as I haven't
there's more, but you don't see them here. Oh God, you're gonna see them.
As much as
we do have a new Alien movie though, so who knows?
As much as I do like play devil's advocate, yes, I get where you're coming from in the sense of like, yes, it is the fact that because they have a lot of more fancy technology and easy access, and they could just churn out creature after creature after creature and throw them on screen, where a lot of the marvel of some of those older movies came from the fact that, yes, you didn't see them, so it heightened the tension and it heightened the fear factor, which is something that these new movies definitely do not have.
What is this boy's name? Is this...
Ty Simpkins. That's just what I'm going to call him.
Yes, it's the kid from Iron Man 3,
Yeah, from Iron Man 3. I hated him in Iron Man 3, and I hate him in this movie, too.
Well, he is dumb.
Let me just say, though, there's something about a John Williams score that can just make your establishing sequence so magical.
Yeah, this was awesome. I remember watching this in theaters. Fun fact, I skipped my senior prom just to watch this movie in theaters, and I do not regret a single minute of it. Like, just for this scene alone, I'm like, oh my God.
Can we compare, though, the time seeing the park here to seeing it in Jurassic Park? We're not even 7 minutes in.
Yeah.
Like, how much foreplay do we get in Jurassic Park?
A lot. But
a lot.
Like, 90s movies versus 2010s movies. Oh boy,
yeah,
here we go.
And also Spielberg. I think that's what Spielberg is really good on it. It's like,
really
it's about the connection, it's about the emotion, it's about, like, when you see the first dinosaur, you really care for it. You like, whoa. Here, I already saw, I don't even know how many things I already saw. There's eggs, there's like trains, there's like, so you kind of just start going, okay.
Well, I wanted to add to what Aniela was talking about as far as, you get so much so soon, right? And I think, kids are a business, right? So it's almost like back in the day when we had our playing cards, like a baseball team trading cards, right? You had every player on the team. Now these kids can collect them all, right? Like Pokemon, but instead they're doing it with raptors and, T-Rexes and different, hybrid animals and even some of the characters, like Chris Pratt or whatever, they can just collect them all, and it all becomes a money-making franchise. Once again, we were talking about this a couple while backs of watch-alongs, but it's all the business, and I think that's why they forcibly crammed all this in here. To us, I think watching it as adults, we're like, overkill, but to the younger kids whose attention spans are like nothing, it's just like it's eye candy for them, right? So they love it.
Yeah, and again, especially going to this scene where they have sponsors from like Verizon and AT&T and all these different like telecom companies. It's like, we need to make something bigger and better that's going to capture the kids' attention. Like, again, this is the smartest part about this movie to me.
And think about this, we were talking about how in 2015 people were addicted to social media, but now there's TikTok. These young kids have no hope. I think they're doing the greatest service by just getting right into this film.
Yep.
I can appreciate the foreplay, like you were saying, Marshall, but the thing is, I don't think kids these days, I think they would have tuned out by now. They would have been like,
they want to hit it and quit it.
Damn it. Give me the John Williams score and show me this park already. And they do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I keep on saying, it's our fault. It's not their fault. They're giving us what's going to make money.
Samsung
You can
innovation.
blame them. That's the thing. I don't blame them. Like they doing this because the kids today, it's like I say, they won't talk about the movie. They will say, "Oh, did you saw that action sequence with the big dinosaur?" They're not going to say, "Oh, did you saw that really touching moment between the kid and the father?" They're not going to say that. It's look, oh, the dinosaur eat him, and so it's not their fault. It's our fault. But
those scenes are reserved for us. Those are the scenes that are supposed to hit us as adults. So the kids can have those little cheesy scenes of like, the smaller moments, I guess. And that's where I think they're trying to find that happy balance. And sometimes it just gets lost in the fray,
And I think they do that in this movie because even though like we really got catapulted right into this one, I still feel that like magic of seeing the park for the first time, feeling the emotions of like, wow, this is such a magical, cool place. I want to go here in real life right now.
Yeah.
So even though Spielberg is like a change with the times, I think it's pretty prevalent looking at this film and some of like, the modern techniques he employs throughout it. I still feel the classic magic and his masterful touch on it, even though it's like, for the times. So I think that's pretty brilliant. And that's another reason why I really defend this film because like it has a little of the old and the new, kind of like you were saying, David. Like there is something for us in it and something for the youth. Not that we're old, but you know what I'm saying.
Older.
So Chris was saying how if you would go there right now, after seeing all of these movies, would you guys go to a Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Because to quote Joe, if I have the choice between living in the real world and getting eaten by a dinosaur, I'm gonna get eaten by a dinosaur. That's like not even a question for me.
I totally agree because that's why I want to go shark diving. Let me get eaten by a shark if that's how I'm gonna go.
Seriously.
At least I have a story,
Yeah, see, you get it.
And like I said before, 2020 might happen. Everything else happens. So dinosaurs,
Jeez.
we wouldn't even be surprised now if we saw in the news dinosaurs were walking around in this year.
It's true.
Like
True.
crazy. It's
Yeah, Colin
I would be
Trevorrow was ahead of his time when he did that ending for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
yeah.
What
By
had
2
Colin
years.
Trevorrow done before this?
So it's funny because this is another thing that I was talking to Chris about before this. So Colin Trevorrow's first thing that he directed was a movie that was produced by the Duplass brothers in 2012 called Safety Not Guaranteed, starring Aubrey Plaza. It was a big indie hit, I know that. And from there, that was kind of right around the time where every studio was really in their midst of like their copying Marvel days. Like DC had just done Man of Steel, was about to release Batman vs Superman. Sony was doing the Amazing Spider-Man movies. So everyone was kind of like on that train. Like Fox would release Fantastic Four. So every big studio was on the train of, hey, let's get these really tiny indie directors who've only had like 1 or 2 movies under their belt and give them a huge $300-400 million plus budget. Enter how Colin Trevorrow gets Jurassic World. And luckily enough, he seemed to like actually know what he was doing because again, like I don't know how much oversight or help he had from the studios, but like this movie doesn't look bad. Like it looks well shot. He knows how to compose the shots. Like the visual effects don't look horrible. So like he clearly knew what he was doing here. It just sucked that he had to release Book of Henry after this because that got him knocked off of Rise of Skywalker or whatever it was going to be called before the title Rise of Skywalker got announced. But yeah.
Hey, Dom, we got someone new in the chat. We got Doom
Yes,
Guy Legend.
do.
First of all, Doom are great games. I'm currently playing through the new one right now.
The movie is
Wow.
not so good though.
But
We don't talk about either of the movies.
Solid first statement. I'll say that.
Yeah, right?
We're coming in hot.
Clearly, a hot. I was about to say, don't pull the no punches
take.
right here.
Hey,
Hopefully he
Hot
can change
take.
his mind.
It is many things, but it's not a hot take.
I
Let us
have-
know.
I have a
Elaborate,
hot
Doom
take.
Guy. What is it you don't like about the film? Let us know what you're thinking. But hopefully we can change your mind because I like this film. And I'm not backing down from that.
What do you guys think about Jake Johnson's character in this movie?
Weirdly enough, this was actually my introduction to him, and I gotta say, after seeing
Okay.
some of his post performance, I think I've only ever liked him in 2 other things. That's New Girl. Sorry, 3 things: New Girl, Tag, and then there was this really cool, sweet indie movie that he was in called Win It All that came out on Netflix in 2017. But I actually kind of like him in this movie.
He's always kind of that dumb side character. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Let's Be Cops. That's one of the most ridiculous, funny movies I've
Oh,
ever
it's
seen.
I
so
heard
much
that movie's
fun, though.
great.
Like,
Yeah,
it's a
that was
trash
funny.
movie, but it's so much fun.
yeah,
So
it
much
was
fun.
really
that
good.
movie. But I have a hot take. I don't see what everyone hates about Book of Henry. Like, sorry, it's not as bad of a movie that everyone makes it out to be. Like, I didn't got it. And him losing the opportunity to do Star Wars because of it, I didn't get it. I don't think it's that bad, but but everyone hated it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Sir Tone brought up a great point. R.I.P. Irfan Khan, Simon
just about
Masrani.
to say that.
Oh man, that's still like that. That's another one. It's weird because like his death harkened me back to 2016 with like all those random huge celebrities who just died. But then like when I read about him, I'm like, oh man, like that's just one that just came out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't like his mom die like 3 days before or something? It was
Something
crazy.
like that, I think.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. And the thing I like about his character too is that this could have been would have been so easy to make him just like the typical like scumbag, like corporate overlord billionaire. But like
he kind of is.
Well, kind of, but he does seem to have a legitimate interest in like making sure that like people are having fun and like continuing John Hammond's vision, which is that like money doesn't matter. Like the whole goal is to give people an experience unlike that which they've ever gotten before, you know? Now, again, it's unfortunately also like John Hammond, it also leads to him making some really dumb screw-ups and investments, but
hey, the guests will never forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
These characters in this movie, they're all so like ridiculous. They're all such caricatures of themselves, but I love it.
Yeah.
I just love how over the top every single one of them is, like the scientist, like the billionaire, you know? It just this has movie magic that I don't really get in a lot of modern films. And I guess like, yeah, it's a bit of a cheat to say because it is a remake of a classic old film, but I love when things are ridiculous in this way. You guys know what I'm trying to say? Like,
it's a good ridiculous
in this style. Yeah,
it's a movie, the blockbuster.
Ridiculous that you want and
to
you
11.
want to see.
As long as they accept it and they make it like since the start that it's obviously ridiculous and they know it, I love it. That's why I thought Hobbs and Shaw was really good because they just knew it was a ridiculous movie. So let's like take it all the way, and I'm okay with that. It's when they take themselves serious and then they just do ridiculous things on it. That's what pisses me off.
Like every Fast and Furious movie ever made.
I'm not a huge fan of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here is except for me. Like, I know those movies are terrible.
I love it. I love those movies.
So, guys, we have someone else in the chat, Jern Official, who just joined us. Jern, thanks for being here. He wants to know how far into the movie we are. We are just about to round the corner of 17 minutes. We are about 16 minutes and 29 seconds as we speak into this film, roughly. So if you just go right to 17 minutes, you'll be a little bit ahead of the conversation.
Yeah, for visual reference, it's the point where Claire...
I might be a couple of seconds behind you guys then.
Yeah,
I'm a couple seconds behind too, David.
Yeah,
so me and you are together.
That's fine. We're all in the ballpark.
Yeah, you guys know where we are too.
And I'm like, I don't see that yet.
Yeah, it's the point where Claire is showing Masrani the Indominus Rex pet.
Yeah.
And we just passed the fat security guard. Oh, man. Like, I hate pulling the Screen Junkies or CinemaSins because I kind of hate what they did to movie criticism, which is just devolved into nitpicks. But, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, why did they put this one guy who clearly could care less to guard the pit of, like, the most dangerous new animal in the park? Like, once again, folding into Jurassic Park's never-ending series of logic problems.
This has logic problems?
I know, right?
Oh, don't go there. If you start going there, that's
a Back to the Future thing. The minute you start asking real-world questions, all these movies fall apart.
Listen, we'll be here all night if we get into that, but this is kind of one of those movies where I think if you, and this is just my personal thinking, so don't get offended or whatever, but I think if you go into this trying to find the logic, remember, there are dinosaurs on an island and there are smartphones. That will never happen. So just remember that they have smartphones and there's dinosaurs and they're on an island with rides and stuff.
Hold on, Chris. Can I write that down? I want to patent that statement.
Sure, man. We'll make it a T-shirt.
Okay, good. That has to be one of our T-shirts when we start making T-shirts. There are dinosaurs on an island and there are smartphones. None of this makes sense. Like, cobble it together with like the Hawkeye quote from Age of Ultron, which is like the greatest quote in the entire MCU.
Robert is watching in 4K yet again. I think
it looks so good.
Everyone who's seen him talking about that would like.
Yeah, and I also want to respond to Elliot's comment right here. Elliot, maybe it'd be awesome if he did, because never ever doubt Samuel L. Jackson's ability to pop up.
Yeah,
that would be hilarious.
Right?
I would love it.
So I want to toss it to the new guy in this mix right now, Marshall, man. I know it's a little hard to concentrate while we're talking along, while we're watching along, but like, where's your head at so far into this film? You know, how you feeling about the movie so far, your first time through?
It looks pretty. I don't care about anything that's happening so far, and we're nearly half an hour in, but sure, it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Don't care about the pig now.
Well, it
You
only
need to
gets
care
better
about
from
the
the-
pig.
Are we going to get anything practical?
Oh,
Well, here
man.
we get some
first
prep,
of all,
some
this is
Pratt action right now.
This is a 2015
Marshall,
big
don't go
budget
there,
movie,
bud.
man.
Don't
you know
go
better,
there.
You know better
Don't
than to
go
ask
there.
questions like that. Anything practical. And you know what's crazy? Is apparently.
Oh, here he is.
Well, boy, there he
Yeah.
is. There he is, the man himself. The man, the myth, the legend. I would argue that this was probably the last movie where Chris Pratt actually cared about movies before he just started coasting on his natural good looks, charm, and personality.
If you could coast on that as well, then hey, well,
Yeah, that's what I said. I can't
Yeah.
fault the guy. Like, if I was as good looking and as charming and as funny as him, I would coast.
Who's had a better glow up than this guy, going from Andy and Parks and
Yo,
Rec
for
to stuff
real.
like this?
What about
For
Kumail
real.
Nanjiani?
He's
Well, we still have
modern
yet
day-
to see
He's
him
had some,
out like
but-
that in anything. We still
That's
gotta
true. I'd say-
see. Eternal still
I'd
has to
say
make it to
Kamal-
theaters.
True.
Yeah, no, sorry, Dom. I was just thinking Kamal Nanjiani, yes, and also maybe Jimmy O Yang. You can make the case for his glow up.
I guess, but
But-
Jimmy O Yang hasn't changed at all since Silicon Valley. Chris Pratt very significantly has.
That's true, but they're just glowing up. You know, they're getting bigger and better roles, and they're doing.
Oh,
big
well,
things.
was the glow up referring to their career glow ups or
I
their
think it was more
overall
of a
looks
physical.
glow-up?
I think it was
Yeah,
a
that's
I
what
think
physical.
it's
glow.
physical.
I mean,
guys. Look at this
physical.
guy.
I
I
took
was
it
about to
as career.
say.
I took it as career.
That was a
yes.
looks. Now, these are actors we're talking about. People only care about one thing when it comes to actors.
So you think this is the last film Chris Pratt acted in, Dom? Is that
Actually,
is
no,
that
not actually tried it. Well, just I noticed it at first because the whole thing is 2016. He had the Magnificent Seven remake and Passengers, and Magnificent Seven. That's the only one that I barely remember anything from him in. But I first noticed it with Guardians 2. Because I definitely don't think that there's that much of it. Also, Omar Sy and his brief 10 minutes of fame that he had between this movie and X-Men Days of Future Past the previous year. But I first noticed it in Guardians 2, where even with that movie, I felt like there was a significant dip between like the Star-Lord that we saw in the first Guardians and the Star-Lord in Guardians 2. And it became even more apparent in Infinity War and Endgame when he popped up. But I just noticed it in every movie that he was in afterwards. So it's just like, something's missing. Like, yeah, obviously it's still Chris Pratt, and I know it, but like, there was something that felt off, and he just didn't have like the magic that he had. You know, with like Lego Movie, Guardians, and Jurassic World. Like that's an impressive run to say the least. But like he just has a magic in all those movies where it's like, yeah, you were legitimately invested in him, and everything after that, I was just like, I don't care.
He has
I
lost
think-
part of that goofy charm and that luster. By the way, guys, another point to this movie: Vincent D'Onofrio. I had no idea he was in this.
Oh, yeah.
I think the problem also with Chris Pratt is that he always kind of plays the same character.
I
He
agree
always
with that.
And
I agree
the
with
thing
that.
is, when you saw it the first two times, what he plays it really well. So you kind of, oh, I like this. But then he just starts playing every character. In Passengers, he's like alone and dying, and it's still like charming and funny. I would be like depressed and like just giving up. And he's like, he always plays the same character. And I think that's the problem. He needs to kind of, and I feel that a little bit with Ryan Reynolds. Like I
I
love
was just
him.
about to say that. Just
Like,
about
I
to freaking say that.
absolutely love him, but I saw Pokemon and it was like Deadpool Pikachu. I see him on everything, and he's like that. I can't shake it. I was watching like Pikachu, and I was like, why the hell is Deadpool like? Even the jokes are kind of the same.
Yeah.
So, and the trailer of that new movie is coming out. That is in a computer game. I don't remember the name.
Free Guy.
Free
Yeah.
Guy.
Free
Yeah.
Guy.
I
is
wanna see that.
Deadpool again, but that's
Oh, yeah.
Deadpool again.
But that's Taika
like-
Waititi too. That's Taika Waititi as well.
Yeah, Taika
See,
Waititi's in that too, even though he's not, well, technically, what's his name? Sean Levi, who did the Night at the Museum movies, is directing that. But I have two things to say to that, Agnolo. It's that what decade did Ryan Reynolds and Chris Pratt both get their starts in, and in what genre? Chris knows where I'm going with this.
Well, I kind of want to pose
2000s
this.
comedy stars. Every single 2000s comedy star, with the exception of like one or two, has gotten stuck in that stigma of only playing that one type of character and has never been able to escape from it. Like, name me, besides Bill Hader, name me one other 2000s comedy star who's been able to escape that stigma. And don't anybody bring up James Franco, because I will bring up a lot of arguments to oppose that. Seriously, Seth Rogen, Jonah
Kristen
Hill's
Wiig.
tried, but even Jonah's tried. Oh, Kristen Wiig is like the worst offender of that. She only ever plays the same character every
No,
single time.
she does play
So,
something sometimes
I mean,
a little bit different.
The only ones we've gotten lately, like, are Adam Sandler, who did Uncut Gems,
Oh,
but
David Sandler.
even there, he was like a sarcastic ass, right?
Yeah, even then he was playing like
did you-
a certain point of himself.
Did you guys see Kevin James and Becky? Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
gosh,
Yeah.
that movie was so
Jesus
good.
Christ. That
I
was
love that
like
movie.
the one time where I was like, finally, you're breaking out of like a comedy role. Like that was
Yeah.
awesome to me.
But that movie, movie was awesome. That movie, like that little girl was like.
I gotta watch that. Like Double Toast. I thought that was like one of those joke movies, but
Becky is if Jason Voorhees was a 13-year-old girl. That's what this movie is. No joke. It's phenomenal. So much fun.
I'll have to check that one out too. It's definitely on my radar. I don't know. I've been sucked into Community lately.
There we go.
Are we still doing that Community?
We are.
We
are.
Yeah, we definitely
absolutely we are.
I'm not been here.
I just want to turn to the chat real quick. We have a few people asking for an update in time, and so I want to thank Mick and Cloud for being here. They came from the We Watch This Movie podcast. We're happy to have you guys over on this side of the globe. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you like what we do here. We we post daily. We do daily content, so we'd appreciate you sticking around with us. And just so we can all get on the same page here, we are just about 25 minutes into this film. We are 24:52. So if you go to 25 minutes into Jurassic World, you'll be able to catch right up to us and join in on the conversation. And thanks again for being here, guys.
Real quick, whoever said Lego Movie was a snooze fest, how dare you?
I believe that's. Let me check. I love
that movie.
FF7.
Lego movie, I think, is great.
Awesome. The first one.
Lego movie is great. Awesome. Like that movie is legit great. And I'm actually really glad because somebody else were contributing to my those comedy stars getting stuck in the same role because Elliot said Jason Bateman and this guy Sertone at the movies just said Tom Hanks started in sitcom. And I would make the argument: name me one movie where Tom Hanks hasn't played Tom Hanks. I'll wait.
So I kind of want to ask you guys this.
Come on. Tom Hanks plays a lot of different ones.
He plays Mr. Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I'm gonna look him up. I'm looking it up now.
Philadelphia.
I'll give you two. I'll give you Forrest Gump and I'll give you A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and that's it. Every other movie he is Tom Hanks.
No,
I mean it's not comedy.
No, I disagree. I disagree. I forgot the name of this movie, but let me look it up.
So this isn't comedy, but I think what Chris Pratt needs to do is he needs to pull a Daniel Radcliffe. What you were saying is he plays the same character. He needs to get into some indie movies and play some of these weird off-the-wall roles.
Yes.
Just like with Robert Pattinson.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny.
It's
funny that you mentioned that because the whole thing is, I'm pretty sure, and why again, when this goes back to Passengers, is because I'm pretty sure Passengers was supposed, not obviously Passengers was never supposed to be like an indie movie, but that was supposed to be like kind of his foray into more dramatic roles. But
it didn't work.
You know what? Okay, I'll give you Lady Killers. He was playing a character in that movie. I will give you that. He was playing a character in that movie.
I throw it to Elliot. Saving Private Ryan, dude.
No, that's the thing. I love Saving Private Ryan. That's my favorite war movie. It's my favorite Tom Hanks movie. I still am of the opinion he is Tom Hanks in that movie.
How about Philadelphia?
I actually agree with you, Dom.
He's playing Tom Hanks.
All right, so you know what we're going to have to do, really? But we're going to have to do a whole panel with everyone here on Tom Hanks. And
specifically Tom Hanks? Or just 2,000 comedy stars?
Okay, but just a question now to everyone, because we say he always plays the same thing. But if someone comes to you and says, we want to pay you $30 million for a movie, but you have to play the Chris Pratt everyone loves, would you guys say, oh no, I'm going to do this indie for no money?
Oh, heck no.
That's the issue. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand why. Like, I understand very much the reason why. You're getting paid $30 million a movie. You are going to give the people what they want. And if they want Chris Pratt, they're going to get Chris Pratt. I get that. I'm just saying, like, I'm not everyone. I'm saying from my standpoint.
Oh, we know you're not everyone.
And so people give Adam Sandler crap all the time, because he just makes up these dumb movies. But if you think about it, if you could just get together with your friends and make movies and have fun and make a crap ton of money doing it, wouldn't you do it? Absolutely, I would.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't fault actors for doing it. If anything, I commend them because that's usually how they're able to get success. But again, my whole love of watching movies comes from seeing diversity and differences.
I totally agree. That's totally fair.
One thing I do want to say, though, is I think you can make a good case that Harrison Ford certainly really blew up after that first Star Wars film, but I think he really brought something different to every single one of his iconic characters. I think he did something that like Chris Pratt or Ryan Reynolds kind of are getting caught doing. He did the reverse of that. I feel like Indy is so much different than Han Solo, and I got cases for these fellas. Do you guys agree, though?
I agree.
And Jack Ryan as well into the 90s.
Yeah, but it was a completely different time. That's the issue. Like, it was completely like Harrison Ford would make a movie and then he could go completely blank for like ages doing something else. Now it's all this internet and stuff, and people start like seeing the trailers, and if the trailer doesn't look like the Chris Pratt everyone loves, everyone will be like, oh, this is gonna be crap. And So studios are a lot more afraid of like testing things out and making.
They are more afraid of change, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Elliot, to respond to your comment, still playing Tom Hanks in that movie. But anyways,
so this kind of goes back to our conversation that we had on our Star Wars panel when we sort of discussed the franchise as a whole and kind of how social media is kind of really starting to dictate the way that these movies, these franchises we know and love are produced, are created, are written. I mean, the fan base has such a demand on these characters, and you're right, Yolo. Like, if they don't see the same Chris Pratt that we know and love in the trailers back in the day, people would be like, okay, well, it's going to be in one ear out the other. I'll forget it. When the movie comes around, I'll go see it. But now we're going to tweet about it. We're going to make YouTube videos destroying it. We're going to go out there on Instagram and post about how we hate it nonstop, and it's going to like be a bad sign for the movie. So I think there is a lot of fear because of the power that social media has given the people to talk about their art and reach out to their creators.
And that's why. And that's why the best piece of content of Jurassic Park since the original came out was the short movie they did of Battle of Big Rock.
Absolutely.
Because there was no big budget. They didn't care if what was going to be. So they completely let him do whatever he wanted. And that little piece of that short movie for me is the best thing that came out since the original Jurassic Park. Because there was no expectations. They didn't add the budget to completely go crazy. And it just kind of gave the feeling of what the hell would happen if you like camping and a dinosaur shows up. And I think that's the interesting thing they can do is like seeing these dinosaurs in the real world. But I know the third one is going to be dinosaurs with guns. There's going to be like war of dinos. I'll bet you whatever you want. There's going to be armies with dinosaurs trained, Tyrannosaurus with like big machine guns on the side, and it's going to be like World War. Like I can see it now. I can see it now. It's like
a Mad Max movie.
I'm so sorry to be that guy, but I have said from the beginning that I'm like, okay, I think the biggest missed opportunity of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom was not seeing just the opening shot, just a desert. All of a sudden, a bunch of helicopters fly in, a crate drops. Collapses open, a bunch of velociraptors and a T-Rex with like two semi-Uzis mounted on its back go charging and just demolish a village. Like, I'm sorry, I watched the shit out of that movie.
Fine, don't worry, you're gonna see it next year or whatever.
God, I want it. I want it.
Before we stray too far away, I know that me, Dom, and Yolo had a good chance to speak about this on our Star Wars podcast, but I'm actually really curious before we dive back into the movie, what you guys think about how social media is affecting creators and art. You know, back to that whole conversation about Chris Pratt. Why don't we start with David and just sort of go down the little circle here?
Yeah, I like you had said, we had talked about this on a watch along about how the internet is starting to influence way too much, I think, over the line as far as these creators having to kind of pick and choose what they create next. Sorry, let me turn the volume down on this a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it's about to be a big explosive.
Yeah, this is a big scene right here
it's
too.
A big scene. Talking about set up payoff.
No pun intended. But
you think that's a Free Willy disc, by the way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Was that the Loch Ness?
I love the symbolism where it's like what previously was thought to be the biggest predator in the ocean.
Or something like
the Mosasaurus.
Mosasaurus. This is awesome too, about how it drops down. But the initial thing about whole creativity and influence from the internet, I think it should be definitely separated. But we see nowadays, I think you're having a lot of these franchises, you know, not to keep harping on the whole Star Wars thing, but you saw how much backlash a lot of this, you know, back and forth with Twitter or whatever. I think it changed a lot of people's views on whether they were going to support these future films or not. But I think at the same time, a lot of these studios are trying to get the fan input, which is great because they know that a lot of these, you know, diehards are going to go out and they're going to watch a movie that they know is true to the lore, you know, without changing it up so much. But once again, like I had said before, they're trying to get the new crop of fans in there too. So you got to find that balance. So it's a good and bad thing sometimes. You know, social media, it was like one of these things where it's like, oh, we're using it for good. Now we're using it for evil. And it's like it's a really weird world that we're living in. I mean, 6 months only of 2020. It's probably the worst decade that we've been in such a damn long time. It's crazy.
We haven't even gotten halfway through the first year.
Yeah, exactly. Marshall, man, what's your take on all this?
David, you made a great point about Shia LaBeouf. That's going to be the worst career glow up in the last 15 years. And I want to give a shout out to Sir Tones. He said, wasn't Chris Pratt rumored to be the new Indiana Jones? Well, I'm pretty sure that was Shia LaBeouf about what 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, right. In 2008, and then it failed miserably, and then Shia went crazy because the world hated him.
So and that's another big franchise reboot film that didn't quite take off, and that came kind of pre-social media, at least pre-social media blowing up with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter like it is today. I'd still like to see more original projects made. These are just massive money-making machines, and I know this went on to make over $1 billion worldwide.
It was. I want to say it was like the second $1 billion movie that year after Furious 7. Which had the Paul Walker thing with it, but
yeah, right. So there you go. I know I didn't go see it. It sounds like the rest of you did, but how much product placement have we seen? That kind of bleeds into what
I already nowadays.
We've seen Coke, Samsung,
Android, Mercedes Benz, like I think I saw a Verizon thing. Like a bunch of different like
Harley Davidson.
I lost track.
Yeah. So who is this movie for? Is this really for general movie-going audiences?
It's for the people who made it.
Studios to make more cash.
It's for fans of Jurassic Park who like recognize every little different reference, you know. But which again, like from an eclectic standpoint, I understand that because it's like, yeah, we are dealing with a more media-sensitive audience who are trained to like pick up on all these tiny little things. So like us older audience members might not care that much, but like to these younger audience members, like, yeah, they're gonna pick up on all this stuff and they're gonna be like, yeah, you know. Like, they're just so distracted by every little possible thing. Like, they just need something to latch onto.
Okay, so this film and many of these franchise reboots, can we agree that they're very surface level?
I agree. I'll give you that.
100%.
No question.
So what's going
on
underneath? What's the subtext? What's happening thematically?
There really isn't. I mean, there is, I suppose. There has to be. But, yeah, I think that's why I was kind of saying, like, it's tough because it's hard to separate the nostalgia from this. But I kind of appreciate this film more from the spectacle angle, more from the visual effects, and from the way that we can really see these dinosaurs go crazy, whereas we couldn't see that in the 90s. But the story is very thin. I mean, you can cut it with a pair of scissors. You know, it's a little string, and you just snip it in half.
It's why I give a lot of merit to like Scorsese's argument, and why I hated when everyone was just so willing to write him off, because it's like, yeah, but also because like again, people very much misinterpret it as like, oh, he hates superhero movies. Like, no, what he was saying about the idea of movies now being theme parks because that's what gets butts in seats, like. I completely understood where he was coming from and very much was in agreement with him. It's like, yes, everything that's made now is surface level. There is nothing that is made of any substance to last. And things are made to get butts and seats, have them munch on a bunch of popcorn and have a good fun time and then come back for the next one.
I'm glad people are working and making a lot of money. The studios, actors, production crew, especially the visual artists who 20, 30 years ago, a lot of these roles and these jobs, well, probably not 20, more going back 30, 40 years ago, these roles and jobs didn't quite exist. But, I mean, how much is this budget? Like 200 million? You could fund 200 indie pitches with that and launch someone else's career and give a lot of these actors something much more beefy, much meatier to put their put their minds to. Like, look at Chris Pratt. He's basically just playing Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, but see, again, this is why I like to bring up social media and the effect it has on the industry that we're talking about right now, especially when we talk about these big blockbusters, because I mean, this film made $1.67 billion. Obviously, people don't care about this stuff anymore. And I don't know if it's that we don't really care, or if it's that just like the Rotten Tomatoes score speaks louder than what people actually think, or if it's the amount of retweets that a trailer gets speaks louder than what we actually think. And so there's this mob mentality, whereas like, oh, well, if, 500,000 people have retweeted this trailer in the first day, of course it's going to be good. Why would it not be? And it's real sad,
I think people like, I think what makes these movies work is people like already have a hard life. They already have to like their jobs, their problems, the world is nuts. So they like, sometimes it's hard to go to a movie theater and get this really deep, depressing movie that like someone is dying and lost all their family and stuff. And people just want to see something dumb. And I think that's why the Fast and the Furious, that's why the Fast and the Furious makes so much money. I'm sorry, like, you can completely turn off your brain, and there's like pretty pictures just going by, and it gets to the end, and even if you didn't got the plot, you know what it was. There was a guy, there was another guy, there was a car chasing. Yeah, that's it. And
what you just said, it really echoes a famous quote about the 007 series, and this is from several decades ago. The James Bond movies are like holidays for poor people, and now because they're going to so many exotic locations, car chases, sexy girls, whatever else. Now you watch movies like this, and this is just another form of that. We're in a super exotic location. what are you going to do? Spend $2,000 on a holiday, or $20,000 if you might be someone with a family, or are you going to spend $30-$40 and take everyone out to the theater? So,
Yeah,
I guess if people are enjoying it.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking the other day. Like, for a studio, like we say, oh, they could make 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 indie movies with the money they spend on this. But those 5 movies together wouldn't even scratch the surface of money this movie did. And then we say we want originals. And I keep bringing up last year Ad Astra. Ad Astra was a completely original movie. It was a great movie. He had like great performances. It looked amazing because it did cost 200 million almost to make, or 100 and something, and it completely made nothing in the box office.
I loved Ad Astra. So
it was
good.
amazing. And everyone keeps saying, "Oh, we want original movies." There's one in the cinema. There's one in the cinema, and people say, "Oh, I'll just watch it at home when he comes home." Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? Like, just go explain them.
And that's the problem, is that people, obviously they say one thing, but again, you have to pay attention to the dollar signs, because again, people can say all that they want, but at the end of the day, the numbers are what tell the stories. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like people talk with their dollars. And again, if you're just taking the numbers out of it, just talking at the critical response, like again, Chris, like I hate to throw you under the bus here, but like what was your first response to Ad Astra? Like we thought, like most people, and why it didn't work. Like most people thought it was boring. They thought it was because they thought that a giant 2-hour space movie with no explosions, no like crazy sci-fi big budget effects.
Well, we had space pirates.
We did have space pirates, and what did that amount to?
And space baboons.
Right. Yeah, but not enough space pirates, man. And here's the thing.
No, you are right.
Oh boy, here we go. We had to bring this up.
Way to go, Dom. Way to go.
Hey, I'm like, no, he brought it up.
You have to have the space baboons every 5 minutes for people to be happy.
Exactly.
Every time that monkey.
That scene was so intense, though. It was great.
Yeah.
Now listen. I don't need it to be explosions or bangs or loud sounds the entire time to hook me. In fact, some of my favorite films, quite simply, are dramas. Take a look at The Farewell from last year. But the thing is, with Ad Astra, I appreciate the filmmaking. I appreciate the mise en scène. The performances were great, but just as a package, it didn't click. And I think if you can't get Brad Pitt to really get butts in seats for a space epic, I think you're right, YOLO, man. I think it's unfortunate. I wanted to like that film, because I'm like you, Marshall. I want something new. As much as I love Jurassic World, a part of me feels like I'm settling. I'm just happy it's not a terrible film. And so that's why I kind of praise it so much as well, because they quite simply could have killed something I grew up loving.
And is that like the problem with today, is the fact that because we are just so used to now the fact that the majority of like the movies that are marketed, we just know that they are not going to live up to whatever expectations that we have.
Here?
Is it just a matter of like we're prepped for mediocrity? It's just the fact of, okay, because this doesn't suck, we're okay, and it's not like awful and just like pissing all over everything that we grew up loving. Like, is that the bar now? That
I think you're right, because we're just kind of like settling now. As the mainstream audiences are just kind of settling, like what we've all been saying. Okay, I enjoyed that. That was fine. Nothing special, but it was fine.
Right.
But if you guys do really think about it, though, if you're handed a property about dinosaurs on an island, what much more can you do other than you get to an island, these dinosaurs escape, you have to get out. There's not much you can do with a, right around that. I mean, you can't add these deep layers and make it a Scorsese written, or a Quentin Tarantino, like a deep text, written type of screenplay. I mean, you're getting what you get. And I don't know if that's setting the bar low, but I mean, you have certain moviegoers that watch these movies and they enjoy them for what they're seeing. I don't think there needs to be a deeper layer than that. And that doesn't necessarily mean this movie's bad because it doesn't have that deeper layer. And I wanted to really quick address Marshall on the, this could fund, like 200 independent films. That's totally fine. But once again, this is a blockbuster season, right? So they need to be putting out movies that people recognize a franchise. That's why we see so many reboots of franchise or Sonic characters that people know from a, cuddly face or whatever, because they need to get those butts in the seats. So as much as we need these independent, like Ari Aster movies, we also need movies like this to kind of fill the void, because people aren't always going to take a chance on new movies at all. Like you had said, Ad Astra I didn't see it because the trailer looked boring as shit. So that's just not necessarily meaning it's a bad movie. It's just I didn't take a chance on it, and that had a huge actor in it. So it's like a couple big actors in it. And I still did not watch it. It just depends how it's all going to convey and hit you, you know?
But the biggest issue is also what pisses me off is that sometimes we get movies that are better quality than the ones before. And I'm thinking, for example, Bumblebee. I thought Bumblebee was the best Transformer movie out there.
I agree.
And like, you just see the previous ones. They were absolutely like, there's no other word, shit. Like
that's why I didn't see Bumblebee.
The one with the dinosaur robots. The one with the dinosaur robots. That movie.
Which
Christ.
Which one? The one with the dino robot, or the one with
Last Night,
or the one with the where the Autobots help to the underground?
No, the one with the dino robots.
Yeah, the like, Age of Extinction.
Every time I thought that movie was going to finish, it just kept on going. It was like I got up on the cinema about 2 or 3 times thinking it was over. And then
we don't watch the movie now with dinosaur robots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh man, talk about irony right there.
But he makes billions and billions and billions, and then we get Bumblebee. That was really nice, but like it just.
I didn't see it, and I didn't see it because I didn't like the Transformers films. And from what you're saying on Yolo, both of us, right? We all agree we're not going to go see that because of the preceding movies. But if that was its own standalone script and wasn't attached to the Transformers franchise, would it have gotten off the ground?
No,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
That's the thing. Like the Joker, everyone complains that the Joker is like this, like kind of the copy of King of Comedy and Taxi Driver.
Which it is.
Element,
if he didn't have the name Joker on it, he would never have that movie made. Ever.
I agree. And I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because that was actually a point that I also wanted to bring up, which is the idea of, yes, even though we've seen we've dealt with a lot of blockbusters and a lot of mediocrity, what I've also noticed is a kind of a sub-trend that's picked up in the last couple of years, which is where the studios are kind of using these big budget, very marketable IPs and names in order to actually push through some very interesting and more risque content. If we're just talking superheroes alone, like your Deadpools, like your Logans, like your Jokers, it's the fact of using these big budget IPs that people recognize, but actually being able to tell these very different and grounded stories. Like my whole stance on it is I couldn't stand Joker. I hated that movie, but at the very least, I'm glad that it exists, because the fact that Todd Phillips was basically able to make his Taxi Driver / King of Comedy homage, if you want to call it that, and have it exist and make people almost make almost $1 billion is insane to me. So I'm wondering is that with all of this massive amount of mediocre big budget movies that we have to deal with, is there a chance of us getting some more of those lower budget movies that have these giant IPs that everyone knows about and actually getting some good films out of that?
Yeah. So before we dive into that, I just want to update people where we're at in the film. We're about 47 minutes in.
We're
guys,
getting a slasher element right now.
Yeah,
this is what I want more of.
Yeah, this scene was awesome.
Why are they taking down this dinosaur?
And also
have I missed something?
We got this much blood in a PG-13 movie. That's impressive.
Why would you breed this thing? Look at the size of it.
Well, also just once they announced
because everybody was bored of all the other dinosaurs, we needed a new exhibit.
Really? I get it. We needed a logic here, but come on.
Quick question, guys.
Why don't you like the Joker?
Me?
That's a
whole new can of worms. We don't want to get into that.
I was about to say.
Because my question is, if you don't like it because he gets inspiration of other movies.
No, that's not why I don't like it. That's part of the reason, but that's not why I don't like it.
Because because if you love Community, and I love Community.
Oh no, I know.
That's a show that rips off everything. In the
I know, but it's funny because Community is actually part of my argument as to why I hate Joker.
They rip off everything.
Oh, I know, but that's why I love it.
Hey Yolo, have you seen The Office?
Mic dropped.
Yeah, I love The Office, but
we'll talk off air. But
guys, I love the original one.
If you're sticking around right now, if you're hanging out, I want to encourage you guys all to follow our guest channels. Please subscribe to their audio platforms, to their podcasts. They're all amazing. They all make amazing content. That's why we invited them. and we're having a blast chatting with them. Throw this video a thumbs up. That would help get more people in this chat. Maybe new people that none of us know. I think that'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, first and foremost, follow our guest accounts here and show them some love because they gave up their time to come hang out with us on a Friday night, and we really appreciate that. And so, guys, I got to ask, and I want to throw it to Marshall first and kind of go around. Like, we are almost 48 minutes in, and we kind of really haven't spoken about this movie much. We're having a great conversation. But we haven't spoken about this film much. So Marshall, what is that telling you about this movie on your first time through? And I want to get everyone's take on this. We'll start with Marshall.
Of course I had to go up first here, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yep, you sure did, bud.
Look, it's a big, slick Hollywood movie that we're just letting it wash over us. I don't know what the plot is. I don't think the movie knows what the plot is so far an hour in, and that's okay. That's all right. The
plot is big dinosaur escapes. Have to capture.
Exactly. And that's all right. I get it. Jurassic Park is now a living, breathing theme park.
It's a monster movie. It's literally a monster movie.
This could only get better if you get Vin Diesel on it.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it or it'll happen. I already have a sneaking suspicion Universal's trying to cross these two franchises over. Don't give them more ammo.
Oh, look, that could happen on the next one. That could happen on the next one.
That's what I'm saying.
Looking at the trailer of the new Fast and the Furious.
They literally they attached the car to a vine and swung it Tarzan style.
Exactly.
The Tarzan sound effects.
Look, I could see that dinosaur from the water jumping out and grabbing the car, and I would not be surprised.
And then Vin Diesel would punch his way out of it with his car.
And I would not be surprised. Look, not even I wouldn't even like say what's happening. No, I would be like, okay, that kind of figures it out. That's the kind of movie Fast and Furious is becoming.
Yeah, true.
But isn't that the reason why people? Isn't that the reason why people love movies or hate movies like The Meg? I mean, they have these like
I
audiences.
love The Meg.
Yeah, I love The Meg too, and that's what's so weird about it is I really hated it initially, and then I loved it because I knew what it was. It was so self-aware that it was a stupid shark movie. People love shark movies.
Exactly.
Like
yes, last week I featured on the Give It 5 podcast reviewing Deep Blue Sea, and I loved it.
Yes,
it was a guilty pleasure.
Yes.
Deep Blue Sea, great movie.
Yeah, another movie where Sam Jackson doesn't make it to the end thanks to some kind of prehistoric creature.
Great, that might be my favorite Sam Jackson death. Of all the Sam Jackson deaths, that might be my favorite.
Some of the worst CGI in that Sam Jackson death too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. But like, if it's stupid and he knows it's stupid, I'm fine with it. And Deep Blue Sea is like he knows it. Like everything is stupid on that movie. There's not one thing that is not stupid. Like it's
but we love it.
Oh boy, it's speaking of stupid. Just so you guys know, at the movie, we're at the part where BD Wong is revealing to the audience what I already knew going in from the trailer. It's like, okay, so this new dinosaur is a T-Rex and a raptor mixed together, and BD
How
Wong
many Law and
basically
Order
confirmed
actors are going to
here,
show up in this?
right?
Yeah.
Well, BD Wong has been
like,
a staple since the first one.
He's like a chameleon also because he can like adapt to the background. He's everything. It's like they put everything in there. They get surprised they die. That's like I don't get it.
Oh, Snakes on a plane. That's another one that knows how dumb
Rob
it
makes
is.
a great point. Snakes on a plane.
Yeah, which is funny because that movie
Snakes on
was
a plane
supposed to be hard R. That movie was supposed to be hard R, and they turned it into like kind of this like neutered version. Like I know it's still
Have
rated
you
R,
guys
but
ever seen the made-for-TV version of that?
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh yeah.
These Monday to Friday snakes on these monkey-fighting planes.
I love it.
Oh my god, Dom, we're doing a Snakes on a Plane rewatch, and I hope it's not a clean year.
Oh, no,
We should watch that. We should do a watch along.
What's the
I
made-for-TV
hope it's
version?
like
That would be
an
so
8-year
good.
anniversary or something. I forget when it came out.
Snakes on a Plane
I
was
would love that.
06, so that would be its
Okay.
14-year anniversary. So
Hey guys, I don't care
Perfect.
whatever anniversary it is, we should watch it.
Yeah.
That's so perfect.
If we wait a year and do it next year, it would be 15-year anniversary. That would be cool.
Perfect.
Stupid
Do
Sam
it.
Jackson movies.
I
That's
am
the podcast.
in.
Yeah.
So guys, now in the movie we have
Oh, God,
overdramatic
Jimmy Fallon.
scientist talking to overdramatic billionaire. How we
Yes.
all feeling?
I'm good.
And look who just showed
I'm
up.
a little bit pissed that
I
BD
forgot
Wong
to-
became the villain in this, especially like at the same year that he became like one of the coolest villains that nobody talked about on TV with the role of White Rose on Mr. Robot. Underrated performance from an underrated show. But
I really want to watch that show.
great show.
I
Great
forgot
fucking
they
show.
showed Jimmy Fallon in this little tutorial or whatever.
Yeah, right?
And you know what's funny? If you guys have never been, I live right here by LA, but if you guys have been at Universal Studios, on the actual tours that you take a tram ride, they do have Jimmy Fallon or whoever the guest, like someone that's guiding you on a video. So this is very like, I didn't even totally forgot about that part in the gyrosphere.
Like the movie, again, this is why I want to give credit to this movie, like, and why it's not just another dumb blockbuster, because like it is embracing its theme park roots, and it understands that it is a dumb monster movie.
And can I just say that is a very huge gun inaccuracy. That is not
right.
Can we just say, what is the legality of putting kids inside this bubble with dinosaurs?
Right.
Yeah, and
I mean,
and what's the legality of allowing Jimmy Fallon to hold a gun that big? Like, there is no way that Jimmy Fallon is qualified to even hold a gun, like a pistol, let alone that gun.
That's a 44 Mag 357. Yeah, there's no way they'd give that to Jimmy Fallon.
Like, that looks like a shot on the TV show.
And the thing, like, I have an issue here is that I don't know if you guys have pets, but like having the ride being a ball in the middle of all these dinosaurs, it just looks dumb.
It's a cat toy.
Like any one of those dinosaurs could just step on it, and those kids would be dead.
No, they would be like, if it was my dog, he would be running after it and trying to eat it because it's a ball.
Yeah,
there's
like,
too much.
Do something different.
There's too much room for error with that.
Yeah.
Well,
even more room for error.
Okay, I love that you brought up the legality, and I think this just goes to show what smartphones have done to the world. And imagine, like, there wasn't even TikTok around yet. People are like dumber now than they even were back then. To let little kids riding the ball.
You have a hatred for TikTok, don't you?
Oh, I do too. I can't stand it. I hate that shit.
I've noticed.
Come on, TikTok.
Look,
TikTok
man, you always
is cool.
observe those kind of
things.
No,
it's not. I disagree, Big J.
Oh, come on, it's cool. No, it's not. I love that. That's a me response.
Okay, so should we just raise our hands? Who hates TikTok?
I've seen some pretty cool TikToks, so I can't hate on it.
Oh, shit.
Okay, 50-50.
Chris, this might have to be our next panel. TikTok versus TikTokers versus anti-TikTokers.
Guys,
look, anything that puts, like, I'm sorry, but anything that puts kids creating stuff, I'm all for it. And TikTok does that. Like, it's
so did mine.
Damn.
Yeah, but
it's bad about what I said because you're totally right.
I guess when I see a TikTok that actually like seems creative, I'll give you that. But every TikTok that I've seen is just either like just clips of other stuff over random songs and just people doing dances. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not creative. I can literally like shoot a video of that in like 2 seconds and post it on Instagram. Like, what makes TikTok?
I mean, Dom, I have to say, you do not have the butts of some of the people that do these videos. I'm just saying.
True.
I
know a lot of those people are also still on Instagram. So again, I'm failing to see your point here.
Fair.
I have to say, a lot of people would be saying, being on a Friday night, 6 guys talking about Jurassic Park is not that creative, but
that's the shit.
So like, look. Don't and that's my problem with Scorsese. Don't shit
again
on other people's things.
Pin my comment right now that are posted from us.
Like, just like, I'm sorry, but like,
my God.
Just let people do what their stuff and don't shit on their stuff because they'll shit on yours. Like,
exactly.
Okay, can I go back to the movie for a second?
Yes, please. Let's get back to the actual movie itself.
What is your guys' opinion on the brothers' relationship? Do you guys think it's real? I didn't really buy it.
I'll let the guests go first if they want, because I got thoughts on this, but it's going to be a long rant.
I didn't buy like every scene where the brothers are together. I'm just like, this is dumb.
My thing with the brothers was I had to agree with, like, I don't know who said it, but that little annoying kid. I was just thinking, just let the dinosaur eat him, but like, it was annoying the hell out of me. He's always in a mood.
Yeah,
he's always like,
he doesn't have like any other facial expressions.
Yeah, I was just about to say. For being right in front of dinosaurs, they seem so unamused. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, come on.
And he's just like, oh, that one has 88 teeth. That one has 24 teeth. We need more teeth. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what the
I hate that.
Here's my point of kicking the ball.
Yeah, here's
my
the ball.
point of kicking the ball. Like, who the hell does the thing in the shape of a ball? Like, these scientists are not very smart.
This is literally a pinball level right here.
But also, like, I can think the dinosaur can camouflage, but this is another like really bad trend that I'm really pissed that they kept from the last movies is how these goddamn 800-pound dinosaurs can
800 pounds?
Okay, more than that.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say? Hold on,
Gigantic dinosaurs. These giant dinosaurs. You know what I meant? Goddamn it. These fucking gigantic dinosaurs can sneak up on people with that tiptoe acceptable ballerina. I get it. No, like come on, people.
They're setting up the next movie because the dinosaurs are gonna be Alf Ninja.
Yeah.
Get like
They're gonna be ninja dinosaurs too. It's gonna be the Velociraptors talking, but like the claws wrapped around their heads and the side dagger. You're gonna have like the Ninja Turtles, but as Velociraptors.
But what
Like,
was
this
that movie? What was that movie Chris Pratt was doing? Viking Ninja
Ninja Quest. Right? Wasn't that like a Taika Waititi thing that he was gonna do too?
Yeah, and it was
I'm
like
intrigued.
Viking Ninja Cowboy
Yeah, I have
or
no clue
something
what
like
you're
that,
talking
wasn't
about.
it?
Oh, so is this like Cowboys versus Aliens again? Is that what that was like supposed to be?
No, it's called Viking Ninja. Wait, I'll tell you.
Was it an
Yeah, look
anime?
it up, please.
Was this supposed to be an anime? Oh, this was tragic. This scene.
This ain't
No,
Cowboy
it
Bebop.
was live action.
Let me just say this because Serton's comment kind of like really made me think about the first movie for a second, and it's like I think a part of the real horror of the first Jurassic Park film is that we kind of see it through the eyes of the kids. We see their struggle, we see their divorce, we see their pain, and then we see them go on this crazy island where, like you said, Marshall, who signed that release form? Why are they
Totally agree.
And,
There's also something
these
relatable
kids,
with the kids in the first movie.
Yeah.
Where the kids in the first movie, between them, Sam Neill and Laura Dern, they form like the nuclear family. So there is that theme of like community there. Whereas what's going on here? Like,
I love the word. I love the word drop. Marshall, you're new here, so you don't get the vast amount of community jokes that have been dropped in here, but all you had to say was the word. But yeah, again, that goes back to my horror versus monster point, where again, the magic of that first movie came from the fact that you saw, like, when that T-Rex enters, it starts with like the vibration within the glass, and you see Tim see it, and as you are in that car with those kids, as you're looking up and seeing this giant fucking lizard that went extinct millions of years ago in your face, and it's horrifying. And in this movie, it's just a dumb monster movie. So you're screaming, but you're also having fun. And
I totally agree.
Pick up a glass ball with its jaws. I'm sorry, that is dumb. That makes no sense. That dinosaur's mouth would be cut to ribbons.
Okay, guys, apparently Cowboy Ninja Viking is in production. I'll be announcing my retirement when they announce the trailer.
Jeez, Lord.
No,
Well, I mean, Chris, Velocipaster is a thing, so...
Oh, yeah.
But, Dom, I totally agree with what you were saying earlier, like, with the horror aspect. I felt like this one, the one scene where we first kind of met the Indoraptor in the forest, I thought that was really good. And then the second one where they were in the mansion, the stock and everything, that was awesome.
But again, that's kind of my problem with the second one versus with this movie. Again, say what you will about this movie, but this movie has a tone and it sticks with it, which is that it is a dumb monster movie. The second one has no idea, because that movie has no idea whether it wants to be a horror movie, a disaster movie, a dumb monster movie. Yeah, it has
drama.
that second
Totally
one
agree.
a drama. Like, that movie has no idea what it's trying to be.
But the horror aspect of it, I loved, and that's kind of why I like hated I didn't hate the Lost World, but I didn't really like the Lost World because, like, in the city, I felt like they could have done so much with that.
Yeah, that was
but they squandered it.
Which
Which is what I'm afraid with the next Jurassic World, where it's obviously going to be in the city again. And I feel like they could do so much, but I feel like it's going to be trash, like Aniola was saying. It's going to be dinosaurs with guns. It's going to be terrible.
Oh, I can't wait. Give me that movie now. But
I'm going to watch it 100%, but I feel like it's going to be trash.
But it's weird, because the whole thing about that last act of of Lost World is that I feel like that was kind of their James Cameron moment, where the movie was kind of already done, and then they just tacked on this extra.
They needed a few more. Yeah, they needed 30 more runtime.
Right. But it felt like there was something. But that's the thing. James Cameron always did that. And he always did that well, where his movies would always seem to wrap up, and then they would add on that extra half hour that would just like make the movie go even more nuts. And I feel like that's kind of what Spielberg did. But the difference being is that Spielberg has made it very clear he was checked out of Lost World. He did not have a passion about it. He was exhausted from making Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same goddamn year. And so, like, he was just same year.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Spielberg did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in '93. That is insane.
Did he have Saving Private Ryan out before or after the Lost World?
After.
I thought it was after.
Yeah,
a couple years, wasn't it?
He did Lost World and Amistad in '97, and then he had Saving Private Ryan the year after in '98. But Yeah,
nuts.
like
Very impressive for sure, though.
No, Spielberg's done that multiple times. Like, and also going back as far as 82, where he did E.T. and then he ghost directed Poltergeist. And then as recent as 05, he had Munich and War of the Worlds. And then 2011, he had Tintin and Warhorse.
Well, I love Tintin.
Yeah, so Spielberg's been doing that for a while now.
Yeah,
This scene, I will say, this scene is actually legitimately heartbreaking with the Apatosaurus. This is also like the one scene where they actually do a practical effect here.
This is a Triceratops scene, but I feel like they didn't do it as good.
I was trying to squeeze in a word saying that. No, it's okay. Dom is the king, but no.
it's like I'm like Barkhan Abdi and Captain Phillips. Look at me. I am the captain now.
I think Marshall was asking about the practical effects, and I was like, "There's a practical effect right there." And it's crazy because we're so just like bombarded with CGI, especially in this movie, that when we actually see a practical effect, we're like, "Oh, that looks like shit." Like it doesn't look like that great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
am I the only one who thinks that Jurassic Park actually still looks better than this?
Oh, it does, 100%. But again, because
go back to Jurassic Park, it looks a lot better than this.
But again, just look at, forgetting like the actual technology goes into it. Look at the actual amount of visual effects shots, just the amount of shots alone in that first movie versus this movie. It's not even comparable.
Yeah. This is lit like an asylum film.
That's why it looks better.
There's nothing creative going on here.
I bet
here's your
I think you hated it before you played the movie.
I bet
whether you buy it or not. Whether you buy it or not, your subtext is they're talking about poaching and killing endangered animals. But do they almost do it injustice by being so thinly veiled with it?
It's thinly veiled. It's the fact that, again, it's just a kind of random moment that's thrown in that where it's like, it also kind of defeats the purpose of endangered animals if it's another animal doing it. So if anything, it would be more so not endangered animals, but invasive species, maybe, I think would be the more correct term to use.
That is true, yeah.
I bet Marshall is happy now that he didn't spend money on the cinema for this.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. I prefer the Netflix series on this, Tiger King.
Oh, I was just about to say, what?
Here we go.
Here we are with
Tiger King is the real world Jurassic Park, now that I think about it.
Man.
But talking about relationships, my other issue is these guys do not seem connected at all.
I'll give you that. I never liked Bryce Dallas Howard in this movie.
This love story is like he gets to the end, and I'm thinking, what made them like wanting to be with each other? Because the whole movie, they do not connect at all.
Yeah, this definitely, the 2010s as a whole, I will say, was just a decade that reeked of, hot guy, hot girl, let's put them together. Do they have any personality?
That's every decade in cinema.
No, I disagree. Disagree.
Disagree.
Because back in the day, I would say that, like, rather than just have them be, yes, they had to be attractive, but they also, like, had to have a personality and sell it because that's what the movie depended on. Now, there's visual effects and, again, explosions and dinosaurs and space travel and all stuff that you can code it with, so now you don't care about people. But back in the day, you actually needed to have real people with real relationships and real charisma in order to sell your movies.
Yeah, because the focus was on characters, and the focus now is on the big things they can put in the trailer. That's why we get these trailers that show the whole goddamn movie.
Yes.
Because it's all about that. It's not the characters. The characters are secondary in movies today. Yep. And that's the issue is they don't develop these characters. It's like what we were talking before. In the first movie, the family, you really believe that they care about each other, and they would risk their lives. This woman would not risk her life for those kids. I don't believe it.
This is Bryce Dallas Howard's defining moment. Like, I'm sorry, but there was a reason. Again, like, chalk it up to the social media angle if you want, but there was a reason why people more so talk about the fact that Bryce Dallas Howard is running in heels in this movie than her actual name. Like, be honest, how many of you guys that actually watched this in theaters actually remembered Bryce Dallas Howard's character's name in this movie?
I forgot. I was just going to say, Dom, I forgot her name immediately.
Exactly.
So,
I don't even know it right now. We're watching it.
Her name is Claire Deering, but that's only because I'm me. And
if you guys hadn't said it, I wouldn't have picked up on her name.
Hey, look, reviews.
Luck is here. What's going on, dude?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, yo.
How's Latvia going right now, pal?
Damn, Elliot's always on point, dude. Of course,
Elliot is on point. That's what I mean. This is why this man is a pro.
Yeah, so guys, just so everyone knows, we're about an hour and 8 minutes into the film.
How long is this movie again?
So
2 hours.
You're right.
Even
the
2
sketch
hours.
theme would have been better than this.
Okay.
Even 2 hours.
Yeah, so we're only about halfway in, man. Brace yourself, Marshall.
And now we really get to the Jurassic Park porn.
Oh, so we haven't gotten there yet.
No, we kind of did the whole time, but this is like the direct throwback, which is like
this is one of my least favorite scenes. Okay,
this scene is kind of pointless. I'll admit.
I won't say yeah because it hasn't happened, but as soon as it happens, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah. Sir Tone at the movies. Thank you for proving the point that we just made. And
Good high heels. Yep.
What I love.
Luck.
What?
More props to you, my dude.
Dom, it's pronounced look.
Look.
Woo.
More props to you.
What I love in all these movies is like if I go on holiday and I leave my car not working for a week, it doesn't start, and I need to like get a new battery. All this shit that's been there for years and years, every time
and it
works.
Still works.
That pisses me off.
Gotta love the power of movies.
Things like that really like just gets me out of the movie, and I just like, yeah, right, that's gonna work. Like
YOLO, where's the scene of them calling roadside assistance?
Right?
Yeah. No, look, just
I
like
can just imagine that call. It's like, oh, hey, roadside assistance. For some reason, I'm thinking he's Greg from Succession.
I would just love if they try it out. And
it totally works.
No, Chris Pratt would turn to her and say, "Hey, stupid! It's been 20 years. That's not going to work. Let's
yes,
would love that."
But again, that you're bringing in the L word again. You're bringing in the L word. You know that movies hate the L word.
Logic.
Exactly.
No, so on YOLO, that's one of what I was going to say with the scene that I hate when they're fixing the Jeep. One thing, so they talk about when they were helping their grandpa fix the car or whatever. Like there would have been. I wish they would have like actually shown that in the beginning of it, them working with their grandpa or something, as opposed to then just throwing that in there because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And again, I also love just taking the car aspect out of it. And again, like another thing the Fast and Furious word is like, oh, turn it over. Oh, it works perfectly. It's like, bro, you did like 3 things. Like there's more. It takes more than that to fix a car, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like.
I don't know. I think
again the L word. We're delving too much into the L word here.
I think the modern reboot formula, you couldn't not have that scene we just had where you get the callback to the source material that made this movie that we're watching possible. You need that scene. That's a staple of the modern reboot. But I actually thought that was pretty nice. I don't really hate it as much as you guys seem to be a little jarred by it. I thought it was fine. If you're gonna have to do a callback to the original film. And I like how quick it was. Now we're out. We saw some of the old nostalgia, and we're back into this film. Even though this film is thinly veiled, I still appreciate it for the spectacle part. But we got in, we got out, we needed it. People got their heart warm, and now we're getting ready for the ending of this film. We're rounding the corner here. I thought it was fine.
Tricky. I'm debating because the whole thing, like I said, obviously the go-to example for everyone for Star Wars, obviously with Star Wars direct nostalgia and porn, is Rogue One. With the references, but so I guess I could say this movie might kind of do a better job with the direct nostalgia references than Rogue One, because the difference being that with this movie the nostalgia is interwoven within the plot versus as many direct references. Rogue One is not the same plot-wise as another Star Wars movie, even though there are a ton of direct references to them, So it's kind of again, it's another like a pick your poison kind of thing, Which kind of nostalgia do you want? Direct references or just a straight remake of a previous movie?
It's all just pop culture overload. I mean, Rogue One's just like a really thin heist movie that I believe doesn't quite come together by the end of it. And what's the point of this? This? What is the point?
That is the question.
1.6 billion. That's
that's the point. Dude, that's their bottom line that they gotta hit.
Look, I wouldn't mind
1.6 billion. It's a heist.
Yeah.
Look, if I own this property and I made 1.6 billion and I knew that people would still crap on it, I wouldn't mind.
As my screenwriting teacher up at school said, who constantly criticized lazy screenwriters, I'm like, so what you think of that latest Jurassic Park movie? She's like, listen, my kids love dinosaurs, and that's all that matters with these movies. I'm like, this is why these movies make money.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. There's that kid. That kid is just leave him there.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I think the theaters, and especially now that they're kind of on the fritz, at least here in the States, I think they kind of need to reevaluate what they put emphasis on, because I think we've had so much blockbuster emphasis that your movies like The Irishman or your movies like The Farewell or Marriage Story, right? I'm glad that 2 of those films went to Netflix, because they would have flopped in the theaters. And all 3 of those films, in my opinion, are great films. But just because the whole preface of marketing nowadays, it's all about the big spectacle, the big action film, the Hobbs and Shaws, the Jurassic Worlds, like nothing else really gets a chance. And so yeah, they make a lot of this money, but like we're not talking about this really that fondly. Looking back on it, only 5 years. It's only 5 years old, and it's not holding up that well. So I think there is a big disconnect and a big problem.
There he goes.
And
Chris, that's why when
Oh,
you're
like, come on, they
There
fixed
we
it.
go.
They fixed the car.
Yep.
Yeah, you see how easy it is to fix a car.
Yeah.
If two
Just
kids can do it, why can't
replace a battery. 20 years later, it'll still work.
Yeah, my car 1 week. Give it 1 week and it doesn't work. Like, and if it's cold, if it's cold, it's 2 days. So,
cheapness of
like,
materials, maybe.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I need to see what was the product placement.
Right.
What car was that? I'm gonna buy one.
It was Kawasaki.
That was totally a Jeep product placement. It's like, hey, we can salvage a product placement we made from 20 years ago and sold.
Good.
yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the blockbusters, but it does kind of suck that like it's either blockbusters or bust at the theaters.
Yeah,
Pretty
but to be honest, and I defended this a lot. I think we still have small indie movies in the cinema because of the blockbusters. Because what happens is we have the big blockbusters, and then in the middle we might have a week or two. They need to fill it up with crap, and they pick up small movies, and they think it's crap and it's not going to make money. But those are usually the better movies. But the only reason that
cinemas, but it's actually on streaming now, is where a lot of these indie films are ending up. A lot of A24 are distributing on Netflix and other streaming channels like that.
Because the problem is that the beginning of the year, which used to kind of be like a really interesting spot where you would see some original movies. You know, I always went to February, because Deadpool had that spot, but that was also February was also the spot where you had Lego Movie and the first Kingsman movie and the Lego Batman movie, and you had Get Out, which came out in February. And so the beginning of the year used to have be like this really unique spot where you could sometimes get these big movies. And then around like 2017, 2018 is when like the blockbuster came in, because Black Panther came in 2018 and Black History Month put its foot down and was like, boom, blockbuster. And so you kind of lost the beginning of the year. And the summer obviously was always doomed. You would always kind of like get a few sneak-ins. But to me, what I think is the biggest missed opportunity is the fact of the studios, to me, that August to October range. I need to go so far as October because we always say, the last 3 months of the year is when all the Oscar movies come out. Let's face it, it's the last week of November into December is when we get all the Oscar movies. And we're always rushing to get and squeeze in all those movies that we can be prepared for the Best Picture race. To me, I am forever at a loss as to why the studios are just unable to figure out what to do with that August to October range, where I'm sorry, where you get Dr. Sleep last year opening in November, as opposed to October directly on Halloween. Same thing. I think the closest one that came was the It movie. Obviously, that's a bad example because that's a blockbuster. But it was relatively more moderately budgeted than a lot of these gigantic movies. And so, but why they open that movie in September as opposed to on Halloween, it will forever baffle me, and as a result, you get all of these movies that come out in that month span that are just crap, but not even crap that has a chance to be interesting. It's just crap.
What they do now with horror movies, and you kind of saw with a few, is if they start in September and they do well. When it comes to October in Halloween, some of them get a resurgence in the cinema. So they get 2 times, and that happens with a few of them. They try and get in September, and if it goes well, then they get October, they get a boost from Halloween, and they get another one. So it's again all about the numbers. It's not, this is a horror movie, it's logical to come in October. They don't care. They want to make as much money. And I don't think there's a blockbuster season anymore. I think that's something from the past because now we have big movies coming out every month also. Yep. So this thing of this is a blockbuster movie for the summer, that kind of ended. We have Star Wars in December, we had Deadpool, we had all this. But January, we were saying it's an interesting, but you're being very selective in your memory because it's also the month that everything that's crap gets dumped off, especially in horror movies.
Yeah,
Dr. Dolittle this year is still
But keep in mind, January was also the month that we got Bad Boys for Life and The Gentleman. And so that's another thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, and Fantasy Island.
That was February, but close enough.
Oh, that was February.
That was February.
We don't talk about that. movie.
We're talking about different months having different seasons in theaters, but right now there is no theater season. So
February to me this past year was very interesting because February was the month where we got Harley Quinn, Fantasy Island, and Invisible Man. So say what you will about that alone, pre-corona and everything getting shut down, where we probably might not get a movie in theaters ever again, but which would just be hilarious to see how the big budget studios that need that movie those big budget movies being marketed to China in order to recoup a majority of their money. But
are we all going to the theaters from July, August onwards?
I don't care about Corona.
I don't care about Corona. I'm going.
I don't care about Corona at all. I'm going. I've already been going to bars again. I don't care.
I already went. Like, he opened here in Portugal. On the first day I was there. I watched Portrait.
You should have vlogged that. I don't know why that was a missed opportunity not to vlog that. I just
million views right there. Instant revenue.
Nobody else
did Portrait right there.
Goes to the cinemas.
Went to see Portrait of a Lady on Fire. So
that must have been insane.
So it was a good one to start off because my last experience, one of the last one, was Dr. Dolittle. So going from that to that one, it was like I had faith again in cinema.
Thankfully, the last movie I saw in theaters was The Gentleman. So I left on a high note.
Last movie I saw in theaters was The Hunt, which was not a good movie.
I love The Hunt.
Not a bad movie either.
It was an amazing movie. That was an amazing movie.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I absolutely adore that movie.
I give that movie a lot of props.
I adore it.
It's not often that you get a movie that trolls both sides of the spectrum. Like, because usually you get movies that are either very conservative leaning or very liberal leaning.
Yeah.
Most liberal. But this movie kind of pulled off the amazing thing of, like, kind of pulling it just down the middle and really playing both sides against each other. That's why I love that movie.
Totally agree, Dom. Totally agree, man.
My last movie was the one with Ben Affleck.
Oh, The Way Back. Good movie. But let's not forget the classic, the latest Will Ferrell comedy, Bomb Downhill, that also came out this year.
I had no desire to see that at all.
Yeah, the trailer.
Have any of you guys seen it? Was it good-ish?
No, I saw it. It was crap.
Okay, that's what I thought it was going to be, yeah.
It was another Americanized remake of a European comedy, and after I checked out of everything Will Ferrell after Get Hard, so...
Yeah,
Get Hard was so bad. That was so bad.
Yeah, the last movie I saw in theaters was The Farewell. Oh my god, I wish I saw The Farewell as the last movie. Fantasy Island. So
No, Invisible Man. You saw Invisible Man with me in theaters, which was 2 weeks after Fantasy Island. Chris, come on.
Yeah. So I did.
So that was better.
Okay. That's
Man
better.
is still my favorite movie of the year. Granted, I haven't watched The Five Bloods or King of Staten.
Not Sonic?
Fuck Sonic. I was not watching that. I was so mad. That was like the most. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you mean to tell me that a video game character getting remodeled to look more accurate in what is very clearly an Alvin and the Chipmunks-esque family movie is like the most talked about thing so far this year? I'm like, that was already the sign. I'm like,
but that's
I think that's one of the good things about social media is the fact that we were able to do that.
Sure, but what difference? But what difference was that going to make towards the overall quality? That movie was always going to be crap regardless.
I actually quite enjoyed it.
Right. Sonic was great.
I enjoyed it.
Robert in the chat saying the last movie he saw was Bloodshot, so that's...
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You poor human.
I
saw that one before.
Luke is saying Onwards, so everyone here literally saw a different last movie, aside from, well, I guess no, actually not me and Dom, because Dom went and saw one more afterwards.
Yep, yes I did, because it's funny, I was texting Chris, I'm like, it was 2 weeks afterwards, because Chris and I saw Onward the week after Invisible Man, and then after Invisible Man was when The Hunt came out, and that's when all this was starting to go down. I texted Chris, I'm like, Chris, I am watching The Hunt in theaters, because I guarantee you this is going to be the last movie that we're able to watch before theaters close, and 1 week later, what do you know, I was 100% right.
That's really cool. We all saw a different last movie. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Just talking about the movie, someone really hated this character because the way she dies is she gets eaten by a bird and then like the sea monster. Someone really hated this assistant.
Right. I was about to say, and I just felt bad. This whole moment, I'm like, was this like a subtle jab at Hollywood assistants, which makes no sense to me because they're like the most underpaid and abused demographic, like working in Hollywood. So like the fact that they would go this hard to like explicitly show her as like being the most violent death not only in this movie, but quite possibly
in this
entire
series
franchise.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
what
100%.
What the hell?
And that's why I think the Flyers are the most terrifying dinosaur that we see in these
but
movies.
it's like, not even
Absolutely.
just that. It would have been one thing to just get dropped into the pool, but no, that dinosaur, that pteranodon is like trying to like drown her and eat her. Even before,
I think
I'm
what's
like,
more
come
criminally
on.
underrated is how much of a good shot Chris Pratt is. He's literally sniping pterodactyls out of the sky.
I don't pay attention to that.
Like my issue is not that. What annoys me in movies like this is like you get these dinosaurs that they gently touch any character in the movie and they dead, and then with the hero they jump on it, they like throw him around and no one ever dies.
Look what's happening right now. Yeah, Chris Pratt's almost getting his face eaten off.
Yeah, so the dinosaurs just stopped for the romantic moment.
And then
That's
she's
something
all of a
they do.
sudden like a sharpshooter.
You can't blame me for going
heels.
for it because there's
also
not many
another-
women on this island.
Oh,
High heels give accuracy plus 10. I forgot. My bad.
It's like, come on. How many times are we going to see like the beat get that close and stop just short? And then, Bryce Dallas Howard is efficient for like 2 seconds.
Well,
for her
No,
advantage.
it's
and
the
then
heel.
it's-
They get plus 10 accuracy. So
This happened also in The Last Jedi. I really like The Last Jedi, but it really pisses me off in that last scene. I'm really bad with names. That he's trying to kill himself. And
and Rose comes in and pushes him out of the way, and then gives an explanation so dumb that
And
even
there's
Finn has to be like, "Wait, what? Did you actually just do this for that? Give me that."
But
like,
that's
BS
not even the
explanation?
question. But that's not even the question. Everyone that was shooting him before
Yes.
stopped shooting so they can have that conversation
Yes.
right next to those.
Yes, exactly.
Those
like-
things really like come on, it's in the middle of a fight, everyone's shooting at you, and then you just have this, oh, I really love you, and they're talking and nothing is going come
That's
on,
one of those old Hollywood cliches that really needed to die years ago, and they just kept it around. And and the problem is, I think that's why they keep it around is kind of like to be like comedic about it. But the problem is, none of these people who incorporate that into these movies know how to actually be comedic about it. So.
No, it's something that you see a lot in Hollywood movies, like especially in fight scenes. I used to do martial arts, and it really annoys me when someone is having a fight with several people, and the people that are in the back, it's like they're waiting for their turn.
They're going at it one at a time.
It's like,
Double Toasted has brought that up.
It's a Batman Arkham game.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
there's
100%.
6 guys. There's 6 guys, but let's be fair. I'll attack after you get kicked. And that you don't see that, like if you see movies like Old Boy and the Raids and stuff, it's like they getting hit all the time from the back. It's like non-stop. They're getting stabbed and stuff. Like in Star Wars.
It reminds you of that scene in Dark Knight Rises where, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but this is one of those like kind of scenes pointed out. I don't know how many of you guys know what I'm talking about, but the scene at the rooftop where Batman and Catwoman are fighting all those goons and Bane is walking up to them slowly. There's this one extra in the background who's like trying to get in there to punch him, but he can't.
All the cops are like, all the cops and the thugs are just
that's the thing. And then he
throwing
punches him. He knocks himself out. Like, he literally knocks himself. He, like, goes in, and then he's like, oh, and he, like, falls backwards. It's hysterical. If you guys get a chance to watch it, go on and watch that scene on YouTube. It's amazing.
So
I'm going to have to look it up.
With all that being said, at this point in the film, we're about 1 minute and 26 in, and I hope none of you have to drop
a minute.
If you're participating in Star Wars. 1 hour and 26. You knew what I meant.
I sure did. I'm sorry.
I'm just worried about the audience, because if you are participating in the Star Wars drinking game, leave your keys at the door and
you guys will be drunk.
Yeah, you guys. I hope you guys aren't planning on going anywhere. Because
hold up. What Star Wars drinking game? What did I miss?
Apparently, there's a drinking game where every time we bring up Star Wars, the people watching have to take a shot.
Hey,
there we go.
Bearded comes locked.
Nick, do you really need another reason?
Nope.
Oh god.
And now we get
guys. I think we've been streaming for about 1 hour and 47, and I can proudly say 15 minutes logged of the stream are directly about the movie.
That means it's successful, right?
Seems like a typical thing for us.
I'm having a good time.
Oh, great time.
All right, guys, it's time to get an antagonist into this. 90 minutes in.
Yes. And DiCaprio, who was very clear.
Yeah, he's a terrible villain.
Yeah.
He always plays the villain too. He always plays the villain.
Just confusing as to why, like, all of a sudden it's like he wasn't because that's the confusing thing about me about a lot of big blockbusters in the 2010s too, is the movies are working pretty well without a villain, and then all of a sudden they feel the need to like just turn one of the bad guys who's like slightly antagonistic into a villain. It's like, why?
Yeah,
like it worked better. Like you don't need the villain is it's the dinosaurs. Why do you need?
That's true.
Because,
or they have like
I
two
said,
villains then, and I hate that.
I noticed that,
they always need to top up. That's what I keep saying. Like they never, it's never enough. If they add like something huge, they need to keep on adding and adding and adding. Yeah. And it just gets to a point that you just like, it gets to a point numbing. Sometimes that I think if I was the hero in this movie, I would just give up because there's no way he's going to win this.
Yeah,
and movies like, for example, that's why I love Die Hard so much. You just like, you don't get movies like that anymore. That it's the simple. Guy just keeps getting kicked down, but you still believe that there's a way out. In these movies, like it's if it was Die Hard now, we already saw what. Now. Yeah, we already saw what Die Hard is now.
Yeah.
Yes, we know what happens now, and it's exactly that. Like this guy, it's just ridiculous.
Bruce
it's
Willis
just like
thrown from a plane through plate glass and surviving without a scratch.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. In the first one, he was getting his feet cut. He was getting everything. Yep. Now it's just like this is my problem. Like nothing is thought like, could this in some way happen? No, it doesn't matter. It's just I'm
wondering too if the majority of blockbusters, and again, like this has been going on for quite a few years now, but if a majority of blockbusters being rated PG-13 now has anything to do with that, as opposed to like a lot of these movies we've been talking about from back in the day were rated R, so obviously that gives them a lot more creative liberties to do this kind of stuff with. But like, does the PG-13 rate and the MPAA have like anything to do with this? I think they have a big part to do with this.
For better or worse, Dom, what do you think? Better or worse?
Honestly, overall, I'd say worse because, like, yeah, sure. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I look at like how it actually affects the art itself, and it doesn't.
How does that affect the art though? Because that's something that's woven into the film from the pre-production, and from what the director's doing.
Because it's like, I'm sorry, like, how is it that you get? And again, like, I get it because the '80s were a big determiner of this. Because before the '80s, you only had like PG and like X. I don't even think like R was a thing until like the late '70s, but. If I remember correctly, it was between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Scarface that helped like kind of establish establish that, because like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the whole thing was, well, we can't rate it R because it's obviously for kids, but we can't rate it PG because of like the blood melting scene. But it's like the whole thing is like, I'm like, Spaceballs and Airplane have PG ratings. But those movies have stuff in it where it's like, you look at that, like, kids in it, like, yeah, I show it to my cousins, and they're, like, intelligent enough to, like, understand it. But it's like, yeah, you show that to kids today. It's like, Airplane has a scene where you straight up see tits just shown right in your face in the middle of the movie, you know?
And you have a line to have sex with the girl, and there's a donkey there.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and there's a blowjob scene, so...
Yeah, but I think the problem is, like, today, those movies would be R for sure.
Right.
I think now people are too much like, oh my God, we can see tits, but we can see someone getting shot off like.
But again, you also get into the logistics of it too, where it's like, okay, so obviously no human blood can ever be spilled in a PG-13 movie, which again, even more props to this movie for being able to pull that off. But alien blood is fine.
If you think about it, you know, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast today. He had Jimmy O Yang on, and they were talking about how, you know, like sex scenes in film and TV are just so crazy and so rated R all the time. And you know, like that's a big part of what people, you know, censor. But yet you can have on Walking Dead, Negan literally beat someone to a bloody pulp. And that's just fine and dandy. You know, something that widely disturbed audiences.
I think that's a very American thing, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like, for example, here in Europe, like we don't really get like that, like sex scenes or boobs or stuff. It's fine. Our problem is with like the violence. So it's a bit the other way around. In America, like I noticed, like if you have sex or boobs or anything. You guys like get all offended. I see loads of American people like complaining about what's her name, Jennifer Aniston in Friends, because she always has the nipples on show.
Yeah,
That's like
that was always a BS thing though. But like that, I attribute to like white conservative Americans.
I kind of want to get Australia's take on this. What do you think about that, Marshall?
Great question. We just don't care.
Yeah,
there you go.
We're into it. We're happy.
That's why Australia knows how to do it. They just take what they can get. And they're good with it. But
Just don't make it porn. That's it.
I could agree with that. I definitely think there needs to be a revamp of this, especially while we're in this whole time of like
it's a big problem that like I know
Netflix get away with tons. I mean, they basically have their own rating system on there, right? As long as the movie's not banned, they can kind of pump out whatever they want to that country.
It's tricky. I haven't really paid attention because once like everything else that they do, Netflix has been kind of like really secretive about it. Like I have no idea what their policies are.
But they have the advantage that they don't check ID to watch their like content.
Right.
If you like on Netflix, you can watch whatever you want. It's not going to be someone there. The max they can say is like, "Are you really 18?" And we all know the answer of that. You're not going to say, "Oh no, sorry."
Netflix needs
sorry,
to bring
I
back
tried
the
and
star.
watched it.
Netflix needs to bring back the star system. This thumbs up, thumbs down bullshit is the worst thing to happen to Netflix. And we all know why. Nobody ever wants to address why they took that away. I mean, you can look it up. There's a huge reason why. A comedian, basically, her special bombed, and that was the reason. Even though they said it wasn't, we know that's
absolutely why.
That goes back to social media.
Was that Monique complaining about how her special didn't do well, or was it somebody else?
Amy Schumer.
Of course it was Amy Schumer. Of course it was Amy Schumer. Why am I not surprised?
The fact that she was able, and they said it wasn't, that she was able to change that much shows that social media definitely does have a change on everything.
But the thing there is like
I hate even Amy Schumer even more.
But the thing there is even the stars, they like who's controlling if the stars are real or not. Like they can put whatever they want there.
Yeah, I know, but supposedly that was based on your rating system of other
Jesus
movies.
Christ,
It was an average. It was supposed to average out.
Film reviews real good. I haven't seen Love, but I have. But Climax, his movie from last year, was one of my favorite movies of last year.
Climax is coming. Climax, I'm getting in the mail on Monday, so I'm super pumped to watch it.
Be ready for that movie. Fun fact: I've told the story to Chris numerous times, but I'll tell it to all of you guys here. The first time I watched that movie, I was on acid and. Oh man, that was an experience to say the least.
I would never do that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just
But yeah, YOLO. Sorry, what were you saying, man?
I was saying that I hope the star system wasn't right, that it was made up by them, because I saw like some movies that got 4 stars there, and I watched them, and I was like, "There's no way people gave 4 stars to this." I don't believe that they get. It's like that. Like what's that movie? The Last Missy or Last.
The new one.
The new one that came from the Adam Sandler.
The Wrong Missy.
I think that girl is actually in this movie. I think that girl's actually in this movie.
The girl is in this movie. That's why I remember. Like there was loads of thumbs up for that movie, and I want to believe that that's bullshit.
I think it's also just kind of. What is happening?
What is it?
Who has a chainsaw?
Dude, was that Leatherface coming in someone's house? Or
what was that?
Did we get hijacked?
So let me.
I think Adam Sandler's team just came at us with a chainsaw.
Right? I was about to say. I'm like, we're in the middle of Unfriended 3 here? Like, what's going on?
I also just forgot more to the chat, guys. Let me just use this moment. We have a few new faces in here watching along with us. We're about an hour and 36 minutes in. So.
Yeah, we're right in the scene where the Velociraptors have been turned on the soldiers by the Indominus Rex because, once again, not predictably at all, the Indominus Rex was part raptor. And again, I'm sorry, anybody who was actually surprised by that twist for this movie, I'm not going to say that you're exactly who this movie was marketed to, but you're exactly who this movie was marketed to.
Well, let me just say this. Is it sad that I still don't know Bryce Dallas Howard's character's name, but I know the name of the Velociraptor?
Dude, I literally just told you what her name was, but...
I forgot it too. It's Claire, right?
Yeah, it's Claire.
Okay.
But no, it's fine. But that's natural. That just shows our natural affinity towards animals as opposed to actual human beings, which is
I'm
not
just making
at all
the point that it's that forgettable. but I'm still enjoying the film. This is
And
fun.
what I'm also going to say is these Velociraptors are kind of racist, too, because they pause at Chris Pratt and hesitate about eating him, but when it comes to poor Omar Sy, they don't even...
Well, to be fair, he was
Did you train them?
To be fair, he was their alpha, though. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes total sense.
All right, I guess.
Yeah, he trained them, Dom. Have you not been watching the movie?
Jeez,
Hey,
Dom.
I wanted to say real quick when I think Marshall, we were talking about something. I forget what we were talking about, but Marshall, I was going to ask Marshall, why don't we have more movies about the Outback? I feel like that's like
seriously
the scariest shit
Tusk.
ever. Like Wolf Creek, hello,
Tusk.
that is like one of the
Have you
scariest
guys
movies of all time.
What about
Hounds of
Bone
Love?
Tomahawk?
I love
Bone
Bone Tomahawk.
yeah.
No, have you guys seen Rogue?
I don't think I've heard of that one, no.
Oh
What's
my
the
God.
wild? Is it boar? The wild
it's
pig one?
It's like a crocodile.
Yeah,
It
there's,
is-
I was talking about a different one.
there's Razorback, which is a Russell
Razorback,
Hayes
that's
film,
what it
who
was.
did Highlander.
Yeah, that's what it was. Well, I mean, and we have Mad Max, so you can't forget about Mad Max.
Yeah, you got Mad Max, but that's
David,
the thing,
it's an interesting question why we don't have more movies about the Outback. We have a pretty complicated relationship with the Outback here in Australia. Despite it making up most of the country, it's not populated, and we have the indigenous people who live there. And with the Black Lives Matter stuff happening recently, it's brought up a lot of things in our history that Australia doesn't quite want to acknowledge. That's probably one thing that censorship is pretty serious about here in Australia. There's not enough movies out like 10 Canoes and Rabbit Proof Fence that address what kind of happened only in the last 50 years or even century. We're quite a young country like the US. So that's probably why there's not so many Outback movies. But what's the Ozploitation documentary that Quentin Tarantino backed? There's a lot of Outback movies mentioned in there.
What is it?
Not familiar.
I can't remember. It's got some funky name. But hey, you can't really top Fury Road, #1 Outback movie.
Yeah, that movie is insane. Like, it's funny because the whole thing was... Yeah, like, when I watched that movie the first time, I'm going to admit, like, it's almost kind of baffling, but, like, the majesty of it was kind of lost on me. But then I watched those first couple of Mad Max movies, and, like, I kind of understood the context of, like, why that movie was so impressive. And even looking back, I'm like, yeah, the things that movie accomplished was, like, more impressive than, like, half. Like, you look at a movie like this, and then you look at a movie like Fury Road, and 20 years from now, you're going to tell people, yeah, these two movies came out in the same year, and they're going to be like, wait, what?
Oh, that's ridiculous. I know what I'm spending my $10 on.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
Definitely not Vincent D'Onofrio. We love him, though.
Hey, Marshall, how do you feel about Lost? They're always talking about you guys
here we
down
go.
there in that
Here
show.
we go.
What do you mean?
Like the walkabouts and, the shrimp stand that they said was Hawaii, but they actually shot on location in Australia. Actually, no, it was actually in Australia. The whole side story of Sawyer meeting Jack's dad down under because he's escaping his family because he messed up both of his families, the one that he was hiding and the one that Jack knew about.
Jeez,
Are you familiar with Lost?
You've just gone so in depth on this show.
Yeah,
And you know what? I'm
Lost
sorry, but I
is
just
I
don't
am
care
the
for Damon
community.
Lindelof, so I can't comment.
Damn. Okay, we'll have to talk about that in the future then. But
Yeah, wow, Chris, I never finished Lost. What the
Yeah,
heck,
fun
man?
fact, you're apparently not allowed on this podcast unless you're a fan of David Lindelof.
No. We
Just give me a chance to watch all 7 seasons of Lost, and then maybe we'll come
All
back.
6, but you were close.
It was a good
Hey man,
guess.
I think you'd like it if you can,
Dude, if it helps, you can stop watching after season 4 because there's really nothing of substance after season 4.
It's just all questions.
Yeah,
No answers, right?
I'm glad that you give.
Oh,
I'm glad that
is.
you give it the benefit of being questions. I'm just confused by it.
I never even finished the show, and I'm saying it's all questions.
Yeah,
so.
I finally finished it last year for the purposes of the podcast episode.
that's why I
Eve loves
stopped
Lost,
watching.
okay? Eve loves Lost. She gets it. You guys need to study up. So, just saying. It does get weird, but it's a weird charm, okay? But
I
anyway,
was about to say, hey,
I mean,
look,
it's weird something,
I can't talk because I defend Community's last 3 seasons, and I'll admit, I'll be the first
Community
person
is
to-
great. I love
Yeah.
Community.
But Community still has. Community never like changed. Always stuck to his guns, and it even though it rolled with the punches that it took, and it
so
really
how do we
made the
feel
best
about
of its
this
bad
part of the movie
situation.
right now?
Was I the only person who was sad when Pierce left?
I was. Chevy Chase is one of the funniest parts about that show.
I get so much hate for saying no. I loved Pierce on the show.
Like,
I get so much hate for that.
because my whole stance on Chevy Chase is the fact of like, yeah, he was just already crazy and like just didn't understand the material, and that's why everyone shat on him all the time because he legitimately didn't know what was going on after. Like, I look at behind the scenes, I'm like, okay, was he really acting for this? Like, it didn't really seem like he was.
No, that was straight up Chevy Chase.
So,
And I'm like, he's funnier than like almost every movie I've seen him in.
so Nick, are you also familiar with The Office?
Oh yeah,
All right, let's talk off air.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about off air once this goes.
sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Have
No,
you
so
seen?
guys, I mean,
did you guys saw The Office UK also?
I have not watched it yet, but I want to.
I've seen like
heard
the
it's
first
very
two
good.
episodes, but
We're
It's
too American
so
for
good.
that, man. I'm sorry. I love But
Oh, wait.
no, in all seriousness, we are
Sirtone,
getting
get on it.
into-
It's on
Oh,
Netflix.
oh, come on, man.
We're getting into the height of this film right now, guys,
Yes.
and all we can talk about
Wait,
is
you watched the movie?
and Lost. And so, how are we feeling about
This is about to
Jurassic
be.
World?
This is my favorite part of this movie. Not gonna lie.
Is there any
Wow.
franchise we haven't mentioned so far?
I don't
In
think
case-
so.
Jurassic
We haven't
case
talked
we
in
didn't
depth
know.
about Marvel, but we kind of don't need to because everyone's
I mean,
talking
we
about
did
Marvel.
mention some Marvel movies, though.
Or DC. We haven't talked about DC that much in depth.
But do we
That's
need-
true.
No,
No.
not at all.
Not until the Snyder Cut.
Is that an axolotl?
This scene is honestly hilarious. Where it's like the like, and this is the one thing I will give it again, like where the bad guy comes out to explain his evil plan when he wasn't even a bad guy to begin with, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, he just gets eaten. Like, okay, all right.
Someone mentioned it earlier in the chat. It's lazy writing. I mean, it goes back to, and it's something I didn't mention, where one of the main raptor they're after. I totally forget the raptor's name, but they were like,
Blue.
It
Blue.
was it okay?
Was
they,
it Blue
they,
that ate Hoskins?
no,
or was it
no,
one of the other
the
ones?
one that was like the bigger one, not the
Blue.
All right, if their name's
The
not
one-
Blue, they're not
the one that ripped
important.
out the tracking
The one
code.
that's the friends. The one that's the
The
friend.
Indominus Rex.
The Indominus Rex.
Yeah,
right?
the
That's
Indominus
right,
Rex,
yes.
So it rips out its chip, right? And then he has to explain that it ripped out its chip. It's like, duh, idiot. We see that on screen. We don't need that written out in text. Like, and it goes back to this. We don't need to explain, from a villain what's going on. We already know once we see him behind the scenes what's going on, right? So I hate when they have to self-explain things. Like, it just adds more to the movie for no reason. You can edit all these parts out.
But it goes again. They're so afraid. They're so afraid of being criticized that people didn't understand it. That
Yeah.
sometimes they just keep on like explaining stuff that you could figure it out. But yeah, it goes to what you say. Then you get all this extra bits that doesn't really matter.
And going back to the couple of of the woman and the man here, Claire and what's Chris Pratt's name in the movie? Owen
Grady.
Owen and Claire.
We haven't even said his
Oh,
name.
who cares about their
I don't
names?
even
So
know.
is
Owen
Brad
and
Bryce
Claire.
Dallas Howard. That's all that matters here.
I think we were talking about how the dynamic of characters, it's always male and female. They usually play off each other. And it's that cookie cutter Hollywood of like, you have the weaker woman who's not really, into the, woodsy area, whatever. And you have Chris Pratt's character who's really like badass, this Burt Reynolds character or whatever it is. And then, of course, she ends up being the badass, right? She ends up being a little more because of, his teachings or just kind of fighting to survive. She actually looks scared in this scene right here. So I think she kind of developed a little more, but it's one of those, you don't really see them actually falling for each other as a couple too much. I mean,
it's just them running around from situation to situation,
Yeah.
and kind of being a result of
they're doing what they have to do to survive.
It's telling
Yeah.
versus showing, where again, to throw it back to the original Jurassic Park, the whole majesty of that is that Laura Dern was kind of already flirting with Sam Neill before they even went to the island, and the island just, again, it was an extension of the relationship. It was a plot point. It was a story. It was set up and payoff. And this one, it's just kind of like, oh, remember we had that relationship that happened totally off screen that nobody cares about because we have no chemistry and aren't good together? Yeah, so, well, we're both hot and attractive, so yeah, we should totally get together by the end, right?
And the thing is, they start a second movie going back to the start of this one. They're not together again, but there's still something there. And it's just like we forgot everything that happened in this movie, and we go to the start of the second, and it's all over again.
It's like Ross and
Really?
Rachel all over again in the worst
Yup.
way possible.
Worst
I was
couple
reading
in
that Dominic is the
TV
worst one.
history.
Well, guys, anyway, Star Wars drink. But I mean, I really think that this moment right here.
Yeah, for these moments, this movie is worth it, I will say.
Nick, what
This
number
is-
are you up to there, buddy?
That's like 4 or 5.
Oh, he's still counting? That's amazing if he's still counting.
Does this scene remind you of the end of Jurassic Park 2 by any chance? It kind of reminds me a little
Yeah,
bit.
A
that
little
would be
bit.
better. Because
Yeah.
rather than just like getting a Godzilla stomping through the scene, you get like the end of the Godzilla 2014, which is like the monster mash that everyone was waiting for and wanted.
Except I hate the little boy and the young kid, whatever his name is. I hate
Yeah,
him.
Ty Simpkins, he's awful.
I hate him.
I love how he kind of just went away as soon as he hit his growth spurt, to the point where people didn't even recognize him when he popped up again in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
Like,
until you
I
said that.
legitimately was thinking that, I'm like,
Wasn't
whoa,
he-
wow, they actually brought him back? That's amazing.
Wasn't he in Insidious?
Yeah,
as
but
well?
that was before this. That was
Yeah,
no, I know
that
that, yeah.
was the same year as Iron Man 3.
I think he was the son, the one that ends up in the nightmare world or whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
People
you guys
love
heard
him in
any Insidious movies? I'm a horror fan. I actually haven't seen any of those.
Oh, I love them. I love the first one, not really the.
They're worth giving a watch.
Leaving
James
it
Wan and Lee Winnell goodness.
Right on. I'll give them a check out.
Yeah.
All right, this is kind of sucking me in a little.
That's
bit.
what I mean. Like it's so funny. Like again, I go back to the nostalgia. Like the nostalgia critic review of this is still like one of my favorite of his reviews, where he hates this movie except for the beginning, the all the emotional parts of the dinosaurs and this end scene. He even does a scene where it's like well, Jurassic Park, I'm done with you. I'm officially walking out. And then it's like, well, what if we throw down a giant King Kamea fight? And it's like I feel like I'm falling for your bullshit all over again.
There is now the running scene.
Claire has been so sweaty for the last half an hour.
The running scene with high heels.
She has that excessive
because they made such a point to do a close-up on those heels to the point where how much do you want to bet that Bryce Dallas Howard said that they had to put that as a scene in the movie? It's like, well, how much? Wouldn't it be like such a strong feminine move to do a close-up of me running in heels?
What would have been smart if the heels broke and she just threw them off?
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
YOLO, that goes in there
like
with
an anti-woman
thing
thing to have. The heels.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't know.
more teeth.
It's
Like,
not empowering.
I hate that line.
Exactly.
Because it makes no sense.
That's
It's
my
like,
least favorite line in the movie.
Wouldn't the T-Rex, in theory, have the same amount of teeth? And, like, I get it, like, OGs versus the new one, but it's like, in theory, the Indominus Rex is supposed to be, like, the smarter, bigger, more deadlier version of both the T-Rex and the Velociraptor. So,
Well, yeah, and this kid, all he's doing the whole movie is just, like, counting teeth. I'm like, why?
Do you guys remember in the first Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is chasing a car and getting to it?
yes.
Now he can't get
Now
to
it
the
can't
girl.
even catch to a girl running in heels.
It's the old age. It shows the old age of the T-Rex.
Yeah, it's an old.
Well,
And
what's
also,
that
I
word?
still call BS on that being the same T-Rex from the first one.
There's
Like, no
there's
way.
a close up right there.
Same logic as that Brachiosaurus that died on the dock.
Yeah, exactly. They can keep up with the
Same
Jeep, but we
Brachiosaurus.
can't
Here's the
catch a
gratuitous-
girl in
Jesus
heels.
Christ,
gratuitous
people are
slow
so
motion shot,
desperate
too.
for nostalgia connections at any point.
Don, that's the word. Logic.
And like,
John
how did that
Williams,
not rip?
MVP.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, there's no way that's the same T-Rex for the first
So,
one. Like, I'm putting my foot down right
I have
now.
a question.
Do people
I have a
actually
question,
think
guys.
that?
Yes, that was like a thing
yeah.
that people said after this movie.
I
They're
have a
like,
question,
that's
guys.
the T-Rex for the first one. I'm like, bullshit, no way.
If
Yeah,
if
that
all
wouldn't
of
make
this if all of this was at the beginning of the movie, would you guys enjoy the movie a little more?
I enjoy the movie, so like it's not a matter of like me enjoying it more or less. Like I'm enjoying the movie. I'm just pointing out things.
Because I have to admit, watching the second time, the first part was so boring to me. So,
I still love the opening of this movie. I love the opening of
but
this
I understand they're introducing it to people that have not even seen Jurassic Park. So
movie.
they're
Right, it's the Force Awakens.
giving the whole
It's the Force
backstory,
Awakens
yeah.
of the Jurassic Park franchise.
drink again. Yeah, so no, I totally understand, agree, and stuff like that. But it's just like this second part is kicking ass. Like I really enjoy this,
awesome.
and it sucks
the
that I'm
third
watching it
act
on
of
a tiny
Godzilla.
screen. But
This movie is literally the 2015 version of Godzilla. First third, awesome. Middle third, boring. Last third, awesome.
Yeah,
Let's
like
give Godzilla-
I agree. I agree. The dinosaur fights are cool, but it's like watching a video game. They're cool, but they don't really add up anything really. Like
No,
we
and
could
it's not all
do-
that engaging.
What?
Nah, but it's hella cool to watch.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to watch, but it could be a clip. It could be a bunch of clips of dinosaur fights.
Most
it could be
rewatched clip from this entire movie on YouTube.
it could be like Shark Week, but with dinosaurs. You just see the dinosaurs fight. And
This whole scene was like a WWE pay-per-view event.
Yeah,
literally. Like
exactly.
you could almost hear Vince McMahon narrating the entire thing.
Well, Vince
And then
McMahon
it's like-
doesn't narrate, but
Whoever
what
does.
you're
I don't watch
talking about.
wrestling, so
basically,
I don't either.
Here's the thing. I think you guys. Some of you guys know me, but for some of the newer folks in here, like in the chat and in the panel, like I don't expect much from blockbusters to begin with. So for me, this is one of the higher tier blockbusters. Does that say much? No. Does that mean I'm not thoroughly enjoying the film right now? No, it also doesn't mean that. It's just I kind of, have a certain expectation meter that is lower than, say, I go into a Farewell, A Marriage Story, Irishman. So
Totally agree.
Oh, and
Yeah,
here goes
totally agree,
Baloo
Chris.
with the mega smackdown as he leaps onto the back and starts to claw at it.
No, yeah,
I think you guys are ahead of the.
Like I'm just gonna do like a WWE voiceover narration for the rest of it.
well, he
No,
does.
I completely
RKO,
agree
I
with
know,
that. Completely agree with that. There's like little J, my daughter just reviewed Top Gun, and she absolutely loved Top Gun. And some people were complaining because she gave 4.5 stars to Top Gun, and she gave 4.5 stars to Inception. But she was saying, yeah, but it's not the same thing. Top Gun is stupid, but I loved it, and Inception is a different. I'm not comparing both. 4.5 stars doesn't mean
it's
they both as good.
Totally agree.
That always pisses me off when people are like, oh, well, you gave this movie. It's like, okay, just because it's a certain genre doesn't make it any bad. Like, there is still good filmmaking that is involved in both, regardless of what the substance and the subject matter is, you know?
Yeah, we're not going to compare Top Gun to Inception in terms of, like, deep meaning or
gravity.
anything.
Yeah.
But
like, I'm not looking at Top Gun and putting that next to something like Taxi Driver and being like, okay, analyze the meaning of this. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure,
exactly.
you can analyze, like, the geopolitical, like, affirmations of, like, America's obsession with war and being the biggest and baddest and everything, and regardless of the repercussions. But, like, that's not what Top Gun is trying to be, you know?
Yeah,
Movies are supposed to be entertainment.
No, and it's one of those movies that's, if I'll bet whatever, if you're flicking the channels on TV and Top Gun is on, you'll just sit and watch it, because it's just like, it's one of those movies. And Days of Thunder, that's exactly the same movie, and they replaced the airplane with the car.
With cars.
But if it's on after Top Gun, I'll still watch Days of Thunder. Because it's
absolutely.
And guess what? Film snobs can scoff all they want, but you know who might be the biggest Tony Scott fan there is? Quentin Tarantino.
Tony Scott, I love his movies.
Good director. So much so that Tarantino sold his script to Tony Scott with True Romance.
Yeah, exactly. Guys,
but I would love to sort of, because, you know, the new one, when we get back to reality, is going to come out. Jurassic World, that is. I would love to sort of, maybe we all do this again as it gets closer. Maybe, like, you know, the weekend before or something, watch the middle movie to this trilogy. Because
absolutely, I'm totally down.
Don't make me sit through that movie again. I just watched that movie once. I'm like, never again. Don't make me sit through that movie again.
Everyone's take, because I personally think, even though it is still very thin, it is still, you can punch holes in it very easily. You know, you poke it and the hole rips open. I think there is a little more substance in that second one, as far as, like, bringing the characters together and further through.
I think
ridiculous end scene where all the dinosaurs run off the freaking side of the cliff. But I mean,
like, I feel like it tried to have more substance.
Okay, you can argue that too. Yeah.
But no, I'm totally down for watching that again. If we did a watch along or something, I'm in.
I'm just thinking about it, like, because I still don't know these two characters' names that are on screen right now, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas. You said it so
I was
going to
say
Owen.
I know it's Claire, but what's Chris Pratt's name?
Owen.
Owen, that's dumb.
I was gonna say I might be in the minority.
Actually, no, it's not. My friend's name is Owen. Damn it, I always get family members confused. Oh wow, I guess it really isn't that memorable enough of a name.
I might be in the minority, but I would have rather see Judy Greer as the main in this one. I mean, we saw her for like 2 seconds.
David, I'm right there with you, buddy.
Probably have more of a personality.
She's an older actress, but who cares?
Howard.
She's seasoned.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a good
Bryce
actress.
Howard, what's the most amount of personality I think that she's ever given in a performance? I can tell you, it's when she played a racist housewife in The Help. And that was like the most lively and energetic I've ever seen her be.
I love her in the episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
you know what?
That's my first saw her. I first saw her in that.
But I don't give that because of her. Like, she's really good in it, but that's because that episode is like just one of the most brilliantly written episodes.
What episode was that again?
The first episode of season 3. It was called Nosedive.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
It's my favorite episode.
That's like the social media kind of thing.
That concludes the watching portion of this live stream. Let's talk about.
I feel like none of us watched. I feel like none of us watched the movie.
Right.
What did you think of the movie, Marshall?
I remember dinosaurs.
Exactly, and that's all that anybody remembers about this movie. Which again, I feel like is part of the whole thing with this. You go in and you get dinosaurs.
Marshall is just regretting not watching in the cinema.
And we were all sort of, you know, having a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. But I kind of want to like give everyone a little bit of a second here to decompress and give like sort of their thoughts here. So yeah, I want to start with like Marshall, since it's his first time watching it. I mean, first off, how was the experience of watching it? Do you think like being on this panel took away from it, or was there not much to take away from? But like, just let us know what you thought about this, man.
Being on this panel was probably more entertaining than watching it on its own. Well, there were several sequences where I found myself getting sucked in pretty much towards that. Well, yeah, just after the second half when we have the big dinosaur breakout. And then, I don't know, I was interested in seeing whatever Vincent D'Onofrio is up to these days. So that's okay. But it's pretty hard to take this in when I'm here with the six of you. No offense to everyone. This is very entertaining, though. So
glad we can at the very least do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued to sit here and watch it again and consume it in a more traditional sense. So I guess in that way, I couldn't give this a bad rating, but it's not fair to rate it based on what we've done here.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Oh, that's so true. YOLO, man. How many times have you seen this, and what's your take watching it again tonight?
I didn't saw it many times because like I wasn't really happy with it, but still better than the second one.
Yes, you can at least say that. For at least it's a consistent tone.
Yeah, at least I can say that. But like I said, I think this movie for me shows what Hollywood is all about. They just pick up the same old stories. They try and give it a new like spin on it. Then they just try and top it up in terms of special effects. But it keeps on missing out on the part that for me is important, and that's the characters and the story and why should I care? Because the first one, it's good because I care about the characters and what's going to happen to them. And here, like, I probably don't care about anyone. If the dinosaur would have eaten anyone on this movie, I would be like, yeah, okay. Like, I wouldn't care. Even Chris Pratt, he could be eaten by the dinosaur, and I would still be okay with it. And that's the thing. In the first movie, like, every time someone dies, even if it's the bad guy, I don't remember like the fat one.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
No, I'm saying the original one.
Newman.
Yeah. So even him, when he dies, we like, oh, like we kind of feel something, even if it's like, yo, you had it coming. Here, we don't care. It's like, and I think that's the problem with majority of these movies. And I just think it's gonna get worse, to be honest. I think the third movie, it's gonna be like video game. You're probably gonna put some like VR glasses on, and you can drive the dinosaur and kill, and it's gonna be the next thing.
Stop giving the studio ideas.
It's gonna be the movie Gamer, but with dinosaurs.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
realize that, and then every time you say something stupid on the internet, it will eventually be in a movie. You understand how this works, right?
Rule 34.
It's like cartoon logic. Whenever they say, "Oh, this can't possibly get any worse," and then it always gets worse.
And look, and like I said, this year, if it's the year for strange things to happen, like this is the year. So there's probably some studios thinking, well, people can go to the cinema. What are we gonna do? Let's put VR glasses and they can pick a dinosaur and fight with each other. And that's gonna be Jurassic Park 3. You get a dinosaur.
Experience.
Well, but that's it. It's nothing that I just want to watch it again or just like talk about it. But it's a shame because I really love Jurassic Park, and I think it was a magical movie, and this has no magic at all.
Yeah, Nick, what are you thinking, man? How you feeling right now?
So I don't know if it necessarily switched places. So my rankings are still Jurassic Park 3, and for number 3 and 4, it's between 2 and Jurassic World for me. While I did enjoy it, it had its moments, but yeah, it didn't change. I didn't feel like it was any better. It was for sure not better than the first 3. I don't think.
Yeah.
Sir Tone, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
dude.
that's what I was typing right now. Yeah, dude, he always comes through, man. We appreciate you giving us your time. But yeah, no, I mean, Jurassic Park 3 definitely gets hate. That's also another podcast. But before we get too off the rails, Flix, man, how you feeling right now?
No, it was good watching this the second time. Like I said, I mean, I have my 2 monitors here, so I'm watching it on a smaller, like 30 or 28 inch monitor as opposed to like my 75 inch 4K, right? So the first time I saw this was in theaters, so I was immersed in it and I was just having a great time because of course I was more focused on the dialogue, a little more what was going on. But what Anyolo said, these are characters that you don't really care about too much. The son and the older brother and the younger brother. I'm an older brother, you know what I'm saying? So I think if I was put in that situation with my younger brother, the emotions would be a lot different, right? I mean, if we were seeing dinosaurs like I had talked about before. The reactions to things were not genuine. I understand this is all, green screen CGI and whatnot, and it's all movie magic, right? But you have to kind of put yourself in this mind of there's a freaking dinosaur in front of me, right? Like let that soak in and get into the role. I didn't feel that from anyone really. Vincent D'Onofrio, I can never pronounce that. D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio. That's it.
D'Onofrio. I felt like he was so underutilized. He could have been a better villain. They could have shown him a little more menacing, I guess. And instead, it was kind of just blah, whatever. But it was okay. Like I said, the second part kind of picked up a little bit for me. And I still like it better than the second, Fallen Kingdom movie.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I'm down for the Fallen Kingdom one because that first whole part was awesome to me.
Opening
on the island
sequence was great, and then nothing
and then
else
it
in that movie.
It went.
That opening sequence is a great little short film in and of itself, and then you don't need to watch anything else that comes after.
Exactly, and they show most of that in the trailer for that movie. So that's the crappy part about that.
90% of the awesome shots in that trailer are from that opening sequence alone. But yeah, so Chris, let's wrap this up. Like your thoughts on this movie coming out of it?
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I was here for the hangs first and foremost. I do love this film. Like Marshall said, I had more fun hanging out with you guys than I did watching the movie. And that's not just because I'm hosting. I mean, I even watched the movie again this week in preparation because I knew we'd be hosting. So I wanted to just have a fresh imprint of it on my mind. But like I said, I go into this with a bar that, honestly, I'm just showing it on screen to give you guys a visual example, but it would be way off screen. I know it's not going to be what I grew up loving. I don't care. These reboots, they're not going to blow my mind. They haven't yet. I don't think they ever will. Prove me wrong. I'm always open when I see something. I always give it a clean, fresh slate my first time watching it. But I go into these for fun. And I had fun watching this by myself this week in preparation and watching this with you guys. So it's not a perfect film. There is no subtext. And if there is, you have to really make a case for it. And that's fine, I guess, because I'm not looking for those things when I watch Jurassic World. I'm just looking for dinosaurs, explosions.
Looking for a good time. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I mean, if I have to give it a star rating, it's like it's a middle of the pack thing, 2.53, whatever. It's fun. It was a good time. So.
Okay, now if I have to throw on my film bro hat here. So my whole thing with this franchise is, again, it's going back to the first one. It was a franchise that was never supposed to be a franchise. That first film is a perfect open and shut, perfect bottle installment about the dangers of nature and what happens with man's infringement upon it. It was an adaptation of an incredibly groundbreaking sci-fi book. It made for an absolutely incredible movie because Spielberg took that book and did with it what he did best, which is taking these groundbreaking and awe-inspiring ideas and making them feel very at home and very personal, because the thing that Jurassic Park had is, again, it had that human touch where like you brought up with Newman dying, the reason why that death still holds up is, besides the fact that, yes, it's Newman from Seinfeld getting eaten by Dilophosaurus, it's the fact that, this is the bad guy of the movie who, had a plan for, corporate espionage, but, none of that matters because nothing matters when it comes to these things because this is nature and it will kill you and eat your face. So get the fuck out. And that's where the horror aspect comes in. But it's just the idea of screenplays and good storytelling versus, again, with this movie, I'm not gonna hate it for what it is, which is the thing that I have learned in this age of mediocre films that we live in now, that we have been living for this past decade, is that I have learned to take things as they are. And I take this for exactly what it is. It is a dumb, popcorn-munching monster movie. That is what this franchise has become. Whether you like that or not, that's kind of up to your own subjective taste. But for my money, at least, the thing that I will give this over Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is okay, say what I will about my own personal enjoyment of the movie, but at the very least, this film had a tone, and it stuck with it, and it understood what it was. Put in a few tidbits of social satire here and there, and those are the elements that kind of elevated this above the bunch, because at the very least, this movie was at the very least trying for the social satire aspect, which is kind of the only intelligent thing that you can try and sneak in blockbuster at this point. But yeah, after rewatching this, my thoughts haven't changed. Since the first time I saw this, I had a blast watching this in theaters. I have a blast whenever I rewatch this movie. I'm never going to not like this movie when I put it back onto the rewatch. But for my money, it's a perfect 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's not a world-class movie, but it's fun. It's fun to watch is what it is.
But the question is, sometimes I ask is if it's our fault because we are just taking this, like you said, oh, I don't expect much, and like this, it is what it is. If we keep on getting these movies, because that's like most of our attitudes now is that, like, oh, if it's a blockbuster, it doesn't need to be good. And the thing is, I still think there's space for it to be good and to be a blockbuster. And we see that with Nolan. Nolan does that. Like he does these spectacle movies, and we all excited about Tenet because he does these spectacle movies with big actions and stuff, but he still has everything else.
Right, but that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up is also what's another big thing, obviously, in Hollywood that's always been a big marketing standpoint is names, right? And the problem is that back in the day, it was all based on movie stars, but also you would have like directors, and this is still kind of a thing today, where you would have directors that like they would be just as part of a selling point, you know, like where part of the selling point was the director.
Their name on the picture makes it an
same
event
thing.
movie.
Like there was a reason why like a Will Smith could do like $200 million, like opening. Obviously, I'm exaggerating here, but $200 million opening weekend just based on name alone. And now that's not what it is anymore. It's all based off of the IP, and that's the selling point. And again, but I will agree that the whole selling point of these movies comes from the fact that it's come see the latest effects riddled thing. But I guess kind of my whole thought process is that because this is just the popcorn fare of the day, and it just so happened that like the popcorn fare of yesteryear just happened to be good movies. The problem is that this is the popcorn fare for today, but it's also the fact that I will say this is kind of a problem, but this is a media this is a media like production problem as well, which is that media is offered in so many different varieties now that there kind of I'm not gonna say there can't be, but like there really isn't that much room for other things to succeed in the box office the way that it used to be, you know? And so I guess that's kind of the problem. So it's not necessarily a matter of us choosing what movies. It's the fact that we can only go with what we have to offer, you know?
So here's why I really feel so strongly about TikTok and Vine and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and the list goes on, right? It's because the attention span has severely dropped. So instead of having these amazing opening sequences like in the original Jurassic Park that paint the world, that layer the tone, that you had that little animation of the DNA cell, which was slow, but it was a great way to slow in today's standards.
Way to deliver exposition,
to get you in and deliver exposition without it being like this guy good, that guy bad. Now they fight, movie over. But because we're just we need it now. That's why I have a problem with TikTok.
Yeah, but
I'm not opposed to a creative outlet. I just hate how we can't have like a balance of like
just condensing everything. You're needing it now.
We're the generation of instant gratification is the problem, and it shows in our art too.
100%.
But look, the problem like I work with apps, and the thing is, you don't build an app and make people act a certain way. You build an app because people already act like that. TikTok happens because kids today have no attention span. That's it. It's not because of TikTok. It's because people are already like this because they have too much. Like, for example,
my argument then is that because I bring this argument up all the time. Is that how people have always been, and we're just realizing it now because of social media, or have people like gotten to this point because of the massive amounts of technology that have been included with this new generation?
It has to be with the speed. Like you talked about Lost before. It took like years for us to get to the end of that show. I wasted 7 years of my life to find out in the end that the end was exactly what we always thought it was in the beginning. And everyone told us it wasn't. Look, everyone told us it wasn't. I kept on watching every week because I thought I already wasted 5 years of my life. I'm going to see how this ends. And they got me. And Lost is the reason. Look, Lost is the reason that today I only watch TV shows after they are finished. Because they're not gonna get me again. 7 years watching something.
They got me with Game of Thrones. I'll admit that.
I believe there's a great point to be made here about the popcorn movies of yesteryear. Nowadays, the popcorn movies, they're actually pop culture corn movies. So what, 25, 30, probably, 30 years ago, it wasn't cool. It wasn't popular to be a nerd and to be so invested in franchises and different media. Whereas nowadays it is. And not only is it acceptable, it's celebrated. It's celebrated not just by people on the ground level, whether between the six of us, we're pop culture kings. Like, we love comic books, we love games, we love film. But it's also celebrated now by the corporations because of what they can pump out and how they can get money of you. So they're going to push, hey, we want you to be invested in this franchise. So they are going to keep producing these movies. And that's why it is very surface level, because there's only so much thought that can go in. You can only squeeze so much creative juice out of something that's already had all the creative juice squeezed out of it.
Yeah, and that's
why there's not much meat on the bones.
I feel now, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 41. So I remember
when you're so old, YOLO.
Yeah, I remember when I used to read comic books and people were like, "Oh God, nerd." Today, people that know comic books make fun of the other ones, like, "Oh, you didn't know that suit of Iron Man didn't show up until like," and people make fun of like
533.
It's so insane to me that the nerds are the bullies of today. That's like more baffling than anything.
Social media.
Social media is like, I see people on the internet, I'm like, wow, if you would ever said any of the stuff that you say on social media in school, you would have gotten knocked the fuck out. That's my one F-bomb for the night.
But it is.
Thanks,
but
Tom. I appreciate you getting that one.
It is
You're
true.
welcome.
No, but it is true. Like, some of the discussions now, like, imagine you like discussing who's the best Spider-Man. Oh, is it Tobey Maguire? Or is it? Like, you'd be like, oh, you don't have a girlfriend, do you? Like,
because my whole thing was I was like at the end of my senior year of high school, right when it started to become cool to discuss that. But I was in college when all that said, and I'm like, damn it, missed the mark just by that much. But
you would have been the man on campus, Tom.
Yeah, I would have been. Oh man, I got stories for days there, but we don't need to talk about that. So
good points all around. I mean, I still kind of agree with my original point, but YOLO, you did kind of open my eyes up. I do understand that, but I think it's a chicken and egg situation is what my brain's coming down to. What came first? I think both parties, in a sense, are equally responsible. And there's no real set answer. That's why we keep talking about this over and over again. Every watch along we've done at some point hits this topic because it is so pertinent, but like we can't find an answer. I don't know. But,
it's because, Chris, it's because time is a flat circle, as they said in True Detective. It just keeps going. It never ends. And it's not linear either. It's relative to each person. But
I think it's always the question of how fast you get stuff now. Like, imagine when you were in college like 50 years ago and someone said, oh, go and do research about who this guy was. That means you have to go to a library. You need to find the book. Then you need to look in the book where this was. And then you'd probably take a week to do research. Now you go to Google and say, who's this guy? And you get it in 5 seconds. And I think that's...
I was about to say, I'm like, and just you describing that already felt exhausted, which just shows the difference in generations.
That's why every time we talk about people complaining about movies, I always say, people that complain about movies today are amateurs. People that complain about the original Batman, that they had to write a letter, they had to buy a stamp, they had to go to the post office, they had to mail it, they had to do all that. That's hate. That's when
at least they had
really
some passion in there. That's it.
Yeah, I give them respect.
Actually going the extra mile in order to express their hatred.
I will give respect to someone that hates something so much that they buy a stamp and put it in the mail. But now if you just go to Twitter and just write, this movie sucked. No, I'm sorry. Like, you don't get any respect for that. And I think that's the thing. It's too fast. It's too easy. And that's why kids today, and I see by my daughter like just learns, like I always tell about this story. My daughter, when she was about 8, she did something wrong and I punished her by locking the computer with a password. And I went to work and I came back and she was in the computer. And I said, how the hell did you do that? And she went, I went on mommy's phone and I went on YouTube and say how to unlock a locked computer. And I just did it. And that's the thing, when I was 8, I was so dumb, I wouldn't even know what a computer was. So now kids, they just get it like that. So that's why the movies today have to, and that's why TikTok exists and all that, because they just want to do something in 10 seconds. Did you guys saw there was a festival in Argentina that was for movies with 7 seconds?
I
Oh,
think
I
I
think
I
heard
saw
about
you
that
had it.
actually.
I think I
Yeah,
saw it
what
on
was it, like
YouTube.
something like 7-second film festival or something like that?
Yeah, 7-second film.
Yeah, I
festival.
heard about that.
Imagine telling a story in 7 seconds.
Yeah, right? How crazy is that?
I think you're talking about TikTok, man.
Yeah.
Wait to bring it back around. I'm really pissed because I missed my chance to be like, when you said too fast, I was been like, oh, so you mean too fast, too furious? There you go. Yeah, that was that. So,
anyways, guys, this was great. We
this
appreciate
is
you
awesome.
giving us
This might be the most fun.
So
that I've
much
had
fun
on one of these watch-alongs so far.
You guys are all always welcome back. Of course, YOLO and Flix, you guys know that. But Marshall and Bearded, you got our contact info now. Use it, man. We'd love to have you back anytime. If you guys are still here in the chat, thank you. And all we ask is that you hit the subscribe button on our channel if you haven't, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't. It would really help us keep doing these types of things. We've had a lot of familiar faces and a bunch of new ones, so we appreciate all of you who've been coming out. And also, more importantly, do the same for our guests. Flix Talk, We Watch This Movie podcast, on YOLO Movie Blog on Instagram, follow that, and also Bearded Films Reviews on Instagram and kind of on YouTube. We got to have you talk about that before you get out of here. But with that being said, before we give you our spiel and get out of here, guest first. That's always how we do it. So we're just going to go around in the order that my brain tells me. And thanks, Elliot. We appreciate that, man. So David, dude, why don't you tell people about all it is that you do over on Flix Talk, where they can find you, what they can expect from you in the next few weeks.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on once again. It's always an amazing time being with you guys and just laughing, right? Because this is what we need in these times, laughter. But real quick, before I get into, promoting myself, I wanted to answer Eve's question about random question. I've never seen the Fast and the Furious movies. Which one should I watch first? Start with the first, because you will see how convoluted the plot becomes over time. So I'll just say,
even referencing the first movie in future movies, you're like, wait, this is part of the same franchise?
Yeah, it became so different, but I would say watch the first one. But anyways, yeah, so over on my channel, Flix Talk, like I said, it's primarily a lot of news that I used to post on. My work schedule is getting really busy, so that's taken over. So I haven't been posting so much movie news or TV news on my Instagram, but on my YouTube, I've actually really got excited that Dollar Tree is getting new dollar and Blu-rays and DVDs. So I've been doing a lot of vlog out and about because I do collect a lot of physical media. I'm actually going to be doing like some top 10 list of like my favorite like DVDs, Blu-rays of certain genres and stuff like that. So if you guys like things like that, especially watch-alongs, which I'm planning for the month of June, July, all that coming up for summer, definitely send me a subscribe. And like I said, all my social medias are on there: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah,
awesome.
No, it's I get my news from Flix, so, and look how informed I am. I'm actually
also
really
way to give a shout out to my former employer, Dollar Tree.
Hey.
Yeah,
I got some good pickup, man.
Oh man, so many stories there.
Our next guest and first time collaborator, but hopefully frequent collaborator in the future, Marshall on Film, man. You have an amazing podcast called the We Watch This Movie podcast. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, and all that you guys do over on your podcast?
Excellent. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I wanted to thank Dom, Chris, David, our other two lovely guests, Anyolo and Bearded Film Reviews. You've all been great. This has been an awesome couple hours. I'm glad that I was able to watch this with the two of you. So thank you. I can't wait to do this again. So just quickly, at Marshall on Film on Instagram, Letterboxd, Facebook, and Twitter, where I post movie reviews covering a wide range of topics, often more art house and indie stuff compared to the more popular blockbuster affair like Jurassic World. But hey, I like to dip my toes in something else every so often. And you can also check out, I'd love for you to listen to our podcast with my co-host partner Dan, at Dan, aka at Dan Allen Movies. That's the We Watch This Movie podcast, where we sit down and dissect the latest and greatest in film. Some of the more contemporary pictures we've looked at recently have been Birds of Prey, Capone, and Prisoners, which dropped in the last week. So you can check that out at We Watch This Podcast on Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter, and you'll find that on pretty much any platform you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Podcasts as well. So go on there, give us a like, shoot us a DM, even a 5-star review if you enjoy yourself. And I'd love to keep in touch with everyone here. Thank you so much again. What a blast.
Yeah, no, we definitely will be
awesome
in touch
having
again.
you, dude.
And, yeah, keep up the good work, man. I know your show is relatively new, but I've been really enjoying it so far. So that being said, YOLO, UnYOLO Movies blog. Why don't you tell us a little bit about all it is that you do? I know you do a lot. We had that conversation the other day. So let people know where they can find you and what you're up to in the near coming days.
Yeah, the coolest bit for us at the moment, and it's even been for me, is like since we on the quarantine, I gave kind of homework to my daughter. So for who doesn't know, is I do this blog with my daughter. She's 15. And she's now watching for the first time, like she just watched Inception, Top Gun, American History X, Seven, Fight Club. So she's watching and it's really cool to see from her eyes how these movies hold up and how these movies really connect with someone so young. Yeah, but my daughter is not like most teenagers. She does old stuff. She's very vintage. But it's still cool to see a different perspective. So we're doing that a lot now. Since she's on the quarantine, she's been going on this list of movies that I gave her. So we've been working on that. We also doing a countdown of our favorite songs in movies. That it's been a hit and miss with people. We've been told off. We have no musical taste, but like always, what we do in our page is we are very honest with what we like or we don't like. And for us, movies, music, everything, it has to do with the experience. And sometimes the lyrics of some song or how the movie talks to you might tell you something personal. And some people might not understand why you like it so much. For example, I cry all the time when I see Softball. I don't know if you guys saw that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal about the boxing. And
Southpaw, yeah.
I heard softball.
No, Softball. Sorry, it's my Portuguese accent. But I cry every time I watch that movie because of his thing with his daughter and how he has to take care. So sometimes what we like to talk about in our blog is more about the experience of the movie itself, not going into the technical bits and stuff, but it's more talking. So we're doing a lot of that. We also have our Movie Lovers Movie Club that we get other accounts to do reviews of movies with us. We usually do it once a month. We get some kind of theme behind it. This time I think it's going to be movies from countries you would like to visit when the quarantine is over. So maybe we'll do a movie of Australia. Maybe we do a movie of so it's going to be that people will choose what country they would like to visit and pick a movie from there. So we do a lot of stuff like that. And we love doing this watch alongs. So just look us up on Instagram. That's our main thing.
Really what an awesome movie, Dad.
Yeah, right.
For real.
You are killing it, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. We always it was our connections since she was little. It started with cars. She was obsessed with cars. What I hated it, and I just had this goal that she was gonna watch better movies than that. But she loved Cars. I watched Cars. It's probably the movie I watched more in my life is Cars because she watched it at least 3 times a day. So and now she's going into better things. So it's cool. It's talking about movies and seeing what she learns with these movies. It's really she was watching Train Spotting the other day, and
that's awesome.
Wow.
And she called me, and this is what I like with different countries. And she called me saying, "Look, I just had to stop the movie because it was really getting to me. It's so strong. I will watch it later, but maybe we can be on the phone and while I watch it." So that's the cool bit of doing this. Being in different countries, it helps a lot. And with the quarantine, I don't see her since January, so it's hard. And this kind of helps us out.
Absolutely, that's the unifying power of movies. It brings people together. Yeah. All right, Nick of Bearded Film Reviews. Where can the good people find you?
All right, so I am on mainly Instagram at Bearded Film Reviews. I do also post all of my reviews to YouTube. So basically only just check out my YouTube if you don't want to feel swiping left or right on the tiles. But otherwise, I want to give a huge shout out to, again, Chris and Dom, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. And it has been a huge honor to be able to watch this movie with them and be on this panel. It's been so much fun. Same with you, David, Aniolo, and Jackson Marshall. You guys have been phenomenal. Thank you guys so much. And hopefully I can do this again. This was an absolute blast. And thanks to you guys all for watching too in the comments. Our comments were great. Got a laugh out of everybody. So thank you so much. So much fun.
Dude,
Absolutely.
You said it, man. You'll definitely be back. Everyone go follow Bearded Film Reviews on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Nick, I got one last thing for you before we leave. Star Wars. It was great Star Wars having you tonight, Star Wars. With that being said, Dom, is there one last thing you sort of want to
Look, I just wanted to say that I just wanted to say that I think it's no secret that quarantine sucks and not being able to go anywhere sucks. And yeah, things that are starting to open again. And these next couple months will definitely be interesting, to say the least, as to what happens. But I just want to say that these group panels, these gatherings of such have gotten me through this. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to all of you guys that are here, and also every single one of the guys that has been on every one of our panels in the past. That includes Elliot, that includes Joe, that includes Brando, that includes Ankit, who we got introduced to on the Star Wars panel. Everybody who has been involved in this, thank you. You guys have been awesome. This has been really, really fun getting to know you guys and proving that, like, oh my God, there actually are decent people on the internet. Like, which is insane still, but like just getting used to that. Like, I'm like, wow, the internet, the place where people went to retreat from bullies, and now it's like one of the worst spots for bullying there are. But yeah, it's so incredibly hard to actually be genuine in times such as these, and it makes me really happy that we have like just a bunch of genuinely awesome people to hang with and just watch and talk movies with. So seriously, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for constantly being here week after week and dealing with mostly me just being loud and shouting my ass off and not stop talking for this whole
Keep
thing.
holding that mic, Dom. Keep holding that mic, buddy.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the rest of it. But yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for making this so much fun. This was an absolute blast. Guys, that's Chris. I'm Dom, TV nerd, movie nerd. We're the Talkin TV podcast. We're on Anchor and audio form. We're right here on this YouTube channel, Talkin TV. If you could leave a subscribe, that would be super cool. If you could leave a comment, that would be even cooler. But if you could go into the notifications and turn it on so that you actually get notified whenever we post a new video. We're trying to post every day. I've got my Marvel ranking series coming out for the rest of this month. Chris has got a bunch of new stuff that we're doing. We've got these watch-alongs. We've got a bunch of still of our older episodes. We've got even more crazy content planned, some of which we don't even know what we're doing yet. But that's what makes it even more fun. And so, yeah, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. You guys know what to do. Talkin TV. And Chris, is there anything else you want to add?
See you here next Friday, same time, same place, 9 p.m. sharp for Toy Story 3 watch-along.
And watch more
Can't
fucking
wait.
movies, people.
That's number 2.
See you later.
See you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah. Hell yeah, guys.